Chapter 519. Zhao Fu then looked at the green-robed elder on the ground. The green-robed elder was on his last breaths, and blood continuously flowed out of his mouth. If it wasn't for the City Lord Seal's power suppressing him, he would have long since died. After all, Zhao Fu had used the death dagger for half a year of his lifespan, and with the poison dragon liquid, it was more than enough to kill the green-robed elder. Looking at the incoming soldiers, Zhao Fu didn't hesitate. He squatted down and stretched out his hand, stabbing it into the green-robed elder's abdomen like a sharp knife. He took out a green City Lord seal, and the green-robed elder howled before dying. It wasn't just because of Zhao Fu's attack, but also because he had lost his City Lord seal and was unable to defend against the deathly aura and poison. Following this, Zhao Fu put away the green-robed elder's corpse and turned into a ray of light as he flew towards the city hall. Everyone in the system main city was shocked. After hearing that the city lord had died, the peaceful demon tree city instantly fell into chaos. "You dared to kill our city lord. I'll kill you!" Demon Tree City's three great generals quickly chased after Zhao Fu, and one of them looked at Zhao Fu and furiously roared. Zhao Fu turned to look at the three people chasing after him and coldly laughed. He drew the Sky Demon's sword and casually swung it, sending out a massive black sword light that instantly hit the three great generals. The three great generals were sent flying, and it was unknown whether they were dead or alive. "You don't even have a City Lord seal, yet you dare to act so arrogantly? Are you seeking death?" However, Zhao Fu didn't pay too much attention to the three great generals and rushed into the city hall. He went to the city heart and quickly chose to conquer and relocate it. System announcement. Congratulations, you have conquered a system main city and obtained 5,000 achievement points. System announcement. Because you are a legatee, you have conquered a system main city and obtained a large amount of the region's fate. System announcement. You have relocated a system main city and obtained 890,000 EXP. System announcement. Congratulations, you have obtained 200 war points. Ignoring the system announcements, Zhao Fu kicked off the ground and turned into a ray of light as he shot into the sky and smashed through the roof. Boom! A spear light and a sword light suddenly appeared and gave off terrifying power as they shot towards Zhao Fu. The other two city lords had already arrived. After dodging the attack, Zhao Fu was forced to stop and turned to look at the two city lords behind him. The two city lords looked furious, looking as if they wanted to kill Zhao Fu. "Now you have no advantage. If you surrender to me, Qin, I can spare your lives," Zhao Fu said confidently. However, the two city lords coldly harumphed and chose to directly attack. However, Zhao Fu suddenly turned around and continued to fly to the side. He had no intention of fighting with them at all, as there were countless soldiers rushing over from behind. Zhao Fu would not be so stupid as to stay here and fight with them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Countless arrows flew over like bolts of lightning, and Zhao Fu unleashed his king's domain. The arrows rained down on Zhao Fu's king's domain. Because there were simply too many arrows, small cracks appeared on the king's domain. Zhao Fu used the full power of his City Lord seal, causing his speed to greatly increase. The other two city lords also quickly chased after him. However, in the blink of an eye, Zhao Fu had already flown out of the city and stood not too far away, looking at the two city lords. However, they did not dare to step out of the city because they instinctively felt a sense of danger. However, Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "What is it? You're not going to continue?" Soldier Forest City Lord coldly harumphed and said, "Call out the people lying in ambush. We won't fall for your tricks." "Is that so?" Zhao Fu asked, but he still did not call out the other city lords. He then asked, "Are the two of you really not going to surrender? If you surrender, both you and your residents will be treated as Qin's subjects, and you will still be city lords. We won't continue to fight like this, and you won't have to face death and destruction." "We won't agree." The woman in white replied with a cold expression. Seeing this, Zhao Fu did not try to convince them to surrender. Now the other side only had 2 city lords, and they were at a complete disadvantage. If he could subdue them now, Qin would be able to unify the Forest of Horrors, and they would no longer be in a stalemate. Even though this stalemate was not beneficial to either side, it was beneficial to the other dynasty legatees. If the other dynasty legatees did not continue to develop, they would be regressing. After all, the other dynasty legatees were rapidly growing, and Qin legatees would be slowed down. Since Zhao Fu was sure that they were not going to surrender, he did not think too much about it and continued to fly away. However, the 2 city lords did not dare to chase after him. Seeing Zhao Fu swagger away, the 2 of them could only hatefully sigh, but there was nothing they could do to Zhao Fu. Qin's city lords, who were hiding nearby, also left. After Demon Tree City's city lord died, Demon Tree City's players and residents all panicked, not knowing what to do. Of the 3 system main cities, only 2 remained. Looking at these players and residents, the 2 city lords decided to each take in half of them. This made the countless players and residents feel incredibly grateful because after losing their cities, if Qin attacked again, they would have nothing to defend against. The sun gradually rose over the horizon, and all of the players' expressions changed. They no longer had any confidence. In just a single night they had lost a system main city, so how could they still have any confidence? This was a heavy blow to them. Even though they had not lost many people, without the sturdy walls, they were unable to gather together, and they did not have any defensive power. They were like a plate of loose sand, and they were easily wiped out. The 2 remaining system main cities could not afford to have anything happen to them, so the 2 city lords and the leaders of the various factions started to discuss and entered an emergency defensive state. In other words, not only did they have to defend at all times, but they also had to be prepared to fight at any time in case Qin attacked. They could not be as careless as before, thinking that Qin would not dare to attack. If they were careless and lost another system main city, they would definitely lose. Back at Qin, Zhao Fu had rebuilt Demon Tree City and given the city lord seal to Xiao Jian. Now Qin had 11 city lords, 8 of whom were system main cities and 3 of whom were city lords of basic cities, making him even more powerful. At the same time, Zhao Fu heard about Demon Tree City's players and residents moving to the other 2 system main cities. Now the 2 system main cities each have at least 7 million people, and that's not including the countless player villages. What should we do next? Chapter 520. After all, these player villages were in the wilderness, and it would take a lot of time to find them. Moreover, if one destroyed a few, the rest of the players would move to the system main cities, making it much more difficult to attack the system main cities. They would first attack the system main cities before clearing out the player villages. That way, the players would not be able to retaliate at all. However, a system main city with a battle power of 7 million wasn't easy to deal with, so what if they tried to assassinate them again? However, they were incredibly wary this time, so it was possible that they wouldn't be able to assassinate them. Moreover, the player residents were a big problem, so they had to deal with them as soon as possible. Zhao Fu couldn't think of anything, so he asked for all of the system main cities' information and looked through it, hoping to find something valuable. After looking through it for a while, Zhao Fu still couldn't find anything, and his head started to hurt. "Your Majesty, your tea has been brewed," a female attendant said as she respectfully brought over a pot of tea. Suddenly, Zhao Fu thought of an idea, and he ordered people to go to the various regions and buy powerful poisons. This time, Zhao Fu's target was the ordinary people. Even though the city hall was heavily guarded, making it difficult to sneak in, the system main cities were incredibly big, and not every place was heavily guarded. If they could successfully sneak into the system main cities and put the poisons into the wells, they would be able to poison many ordinary people to death. Moreover, Zhao Fu thought about the abilities of his 30,000 skeleton mages and disaster cavalrymen. If they worked together, they would be able to greatly reduce the enemy's battle power. When he thought about this, Zhao Fu decided to discuss this with his generals to make sure that they didn't make any mistakes. Following this, Qin started to buy all sorts of powerful poisons from the various system main cities. He bought hundreds of thousands of packets, which cost him a lot of money. However, this money wasn't much to Qin at all. Qin didn't lack money at all, and if he could achieve his goal, he could throw money at them. This time, Zhao Fu mainly relied on Qin's assassins, disaster cavalrymen, and skeleton mages. Qin didn't need too many assassins, or else they would be discovered. As such, Zhao Fu chose 200 elite assassins and gave them spatial rings that contained a large amount of poisons. Then, the operation officially began. On another night, Zhao Fu led the group to the vicinity of Soldier Forest. The current Soldier Forest was not as lax as Demon Tree City. Instead, it was heavily guarded, brightly lit to prevent anyone from sneaking in. However, Zhao Fu and his men still snuck into Soldier Forest from a hidden corner. The city's defenses were quite tight, and there were teams patrolling the streets from time to time. This made Zhao Fu and the others not dare to be careless, and they carefully carried out their plan. Qin's assassins followed the order and went to each well to release poison. Packets of poison were successfully tossed into the well. They melted into the water and did not give off any smell. Most people would not be able to discover that there was a problem with the water. The plan was successfully executed, and the next step was to wait for the right opportunity. Early in the morning, the sun had just risen, and there was a faint mist in the city. It was a cold winter morning, but the commoners still got up and started cooking, preparing for the day. Now that the two system main cities had taken in Demon Tree City's players and residents, the originally sparse city became quite crowded. Nothing had happened the previous night, causing countless people to let out a sigh of relief. However, this peaceful morning was soon shattered. Cries of terror sounded out, causing countless people to feel quite startled. Soon, many people coughed up blood and fell to the ground, dying in just a few moments. "What's going on?" Seeing this scene, many people could not understand what was going on, and this alerted the city lords and the leaders of the players. After an examination by apothecaries, it was determined that these people had died from poisoning. Following this, they found that the water in the wells contained lethal poison. After hearing about this, countless players felt both furious and afraid. They were furious that Qin had dared to use such despicable methods to sneak in, and they were afraid that they had almost been poisoned to death. The fact that the water in the wells contained lethal poison caused the two system main cities to fall into chaos. The two city lords hurriedly gave the order not to drink from the wells, and they counted the number of people who had died. Each system main city had roughly 200,000 or so people who had died. Many people's entire families had died, regardless of whether they were male or female, old or young. Because they had all eaten food made from the well water, they had all died. This scene caused the two system main cities' city lords to feel incredibly furious, and they made up their minds to kill that dynasty legatee. The leaders of the countless player factions couldn't help but sigh. There was nothing too deceitful in war, and the strong preyed on the weak. Even though Qin had been unscrupulous, that was the reality. Victory was everything. Those who hoped that the enemy would be merciful instead of scheming were no different from idiots. A fair, just, and righteous war could only appear in novels. In reality, the weak would perish. Outside Soldier Forest City, Zhao Fu stood in the air and looked at everything within the city, and he gave the order to carry out the next plan. The 10 disaster cavalrymen raised their black swords and roared as 10 pillars of black light shot into the sky, and a massive black magic formation appeared in the sky. Seeing the black magic formation in the sky, everyone felt that something was off. The dead indigenous residents' flesh and blood withered before falling off and turning into skeletons that madly attacked others. Immediately, Soldier Forest became even more chaotic. Some people wanted to run in fear, while others rushed up to kill the skeletons. The sounds of fighting, yelling, and howling could be heard, creating quite a din. The skeleton mages started to use their evil spirit skills, summoning evil spirit. These evil spirits were all transparent, and they flew towards the players. Even though the evil spirits summoned by the skeleton mages weren't much of a threat to Stage 1 soldiers, they posed a great threat to ordinary players. The players on the city walls had been completely unaware when an evil spirit floated towards them and invaded their minds, causing them to howl as their expressions twisted in pain. Everyone else didn't know what was going on, and they quickly went over to see what was going on. However, at that moment, the players who had been possessed by the evil spirits started to madly attack the people rushing over. The people rushing over were quite confused as to why they were attacking their own people, but they were quickly forced to retaliate. The 3 skeleton mages could summon 30,000 evil spirits, which meant that they could instantly control 30,000 players and attack them, causing Soldier Forest to become even more chaotic. After the players controlled by the evil spirits were killed, the evil spirits started to look for other targets to invade and control. Chapter 521. Soldier Forest became quite chaotic, and the situation at Holy Light City was not good either. As such, Zhao Fu sent out all of Qin's soldiers to attack Holy Light City. Of course, it was not a true attack but a feint to stall Holy Light City's people, making it easier for Qin to move about in Soldier Forest. Looking at the soldiers outside the city, Holy Light City's people felt quite nervous. Even though they had 3 times as many soldiers as Qin's, after so many battles, they had lost much of their confidence. Hurry and notify Soldier Forest that Qin is here. Tell them to come and help. Looking at Qin's soldiers below, countless soldiers hurriedly yelled. Only with 2 system main cities working together would they have the confidence to stop Qin. Fire! This side was led by Bai Qi, and the countless soldiers obeyed Bai Qi's orders. They shot out arrows and started to attack Holy Light City. Soldier Forest had also received news that Holy Light City was being attacked, but they had never been able to do anything about it. Not only did they have to face the skeletons, but they also had to deal with the players who had suddenly gone berserk. More importantly, there was a black magic formation in the sky. As long as it existed, any indigenous resident who died would immediately turn into skeletons. Outside Holy Light City, the woman in white looked at Bai Qi and yelled, "Why are you loyal to such a person and helping him? You're helping a tyrant." The woman in white thought that Bai Qi was a system main city lord and couldn't understand why he would be loyal to such a despicable, cruel, and bloodthirsty person. He simply couldn't be called a good person. In response to the woman in white's words, Bai Qi's expression was cold as he replied, "This is how the world is. If you want to survive and become stronger, you have to follow this world's laws. Everything His Majesty does is for Qin's sake, and no one has the right to judge him. Also, you're doomed to fail, and His Majesty lacks a concubine. It's best for you to surrender and become His Majesty's imperial concubine. Otherwise, this city will be plunged into misery and suffering." The woman in white angrily harumphed. She had wanted to persuade Bai Qi to repent, but she had never thought that he would want her to become His Majesty's concubine. How was that possible? "Do you really think that your 450,000 soldiers can attack Holy Light City? I would like to see it." The woman in white was the first to attack. A white sword light that was dozens of meters long gave off a holy and terrifying power as it slashed towards Bai Qi. Bai Qi's expression was cold as a large amount of blood-red aura rose up from his body. He slashed out with the 7 Murders sword, destroying the white sword light. The white-clothed young woman felt quite surprised, and she felt that Bai Qi was different from the other city lords. However, she put aside her thoughts and continued to attack Bai Qi. The 2 of them soon started fighting in the sky. The soldiers below also launched a frenzied attack. The battle seemed fierce, but Qin had no intention of attacking. He turned his gaze back to Soldier Forest. Looking at the chaotic Soldier Forest, the city lord felt quite anxious. Holy Light City was being attacked, so he had to quickly bring people over. Otherwise, if one of them died, the other would not be able to survive for long. However, there was nothing he could do even if he panicked. There were still skeletons and crazy players in the city. If he didn't deal with them, he wouldn't be able to reach Holy Light City. The city lord didn't know what was going on, but after killing a batch of skeletons, another batch would come. However, that was because of the black magic formation. Whenever an indigenous resident died, they would turn into skeletons, which was quite disadvantageous to the city lord. The city lord wanted to destroy the black magic formation first. Without it, the skeletons would be quickly cleared out, and after dealing with the crazy players, he would be able to quickly reach Holy Light City. However, a black-cloaked figure appeared in front of him. The city lord wasn't surprised at all, and he gripped his spear and prepared to break through the black-cloaked figure's blockade. However, at that moment, figures suddenly appeared around him. There were 10 of them in total, and they surrounded him. This caused his expression to greatly change. All 10 of them were city lords. In actuality, Zhao Fu's plan wasn't just to get rid of the ordinary people. He wanted to use the chaos to kill Soldier Forest's city lord. Attack! Time was of the essence, and they couldn't waste any time. As such, Zhao Fu immediately gave the order. The other 9 people obeyed and exploded out with power, unleashing all of their attacks on Soldier Forest's city lord. Spear lights, saber lights, sword images, talismans, and all sorts of terrifying attacks were unleashed. Soldier Forest's city lord gripped his spear and roared as he swept his spear out, tearing through the air and creating a massive black crescent that gave off shocking power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the black crescent collided with the countless incoming sword lights and saber lights. The black crescent shattered, and the saber lights and sword images continued towards Soldier Forest's city lord. Soldier Forest's city lord blocked with his spear, but he was sent flying and crashed to the ground, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Sar held his large saber and was the first to rush up. His saber contained enough power to split mountains, and Soldier Forest's city lord could only use his spear to block. However, just as he blocked the attack, Wang Jian's sword gave off a shocking sword light as it slashed towards him. Soldier Forest's city lord could only retreat and tilt his spear, taking this attack head-on. In that instant, Soldier Forest's city lord was once again forced back, sliding 10 or so meters on the ground. Xianru took out a green talisman paper and held it between her fingers as she chanted, causing the talisman paper to ignite. A green vine burst out of the ground and wrapped around Soldier Forest's city lord. Soldier Forest's city lord was given a big fright and immediately tried to break free, but Meng Tian gripped her spear and stabbed it towards Soldier Forest's city lord's chest. Pooh! A few bones in Soldier Forest's city lord's chest were broken, and he was sent flying. What was waiting for him was Wei Liao. A large green wolf bit down on Soldier Forest's city lord, and its sharp teeth sank into his body. Soldier Forest's city lord gave a muffled grunt as he stabbed his spear through the wolf's head from the side. The green wolf turned into countless traces of green aura and collapsed, and Soldier Forest's city lord fell to the ground. By now, he was already heavily injured, and it was impossible for him to not be injured after taking attacks from so many city lords of the same level. However, Soldier Forest's city lord did not show any signs of retreating, and he stared at his surroundings, a trace of battle intent in his eyes. The short battle had caused many soldiers to come back to their senses, and they quickly rushed over. Zhao Fu lightly glanced at them before looking back at Soldier Forest's city lord. A terrifying aura exploded out as Zhao Fu leaned forwards and tapped off the ground, causing the ground to crack. Zhao Fu's body turned into a black blur and flashed like a bolt of lightning. In just an instant, Zhao Fu appeared in front of Soldier Forest's City Lord and pressed his hand against the City Lord's chest. Soldier Forest's City Lord was already heavily injured, and he was unable to defend at all. After receiving this attack, Soldier Forest's City Lord retreated a few steps, and his chest caved in. Blood leaked out of his mouth, making him look quite pitiful. Chapter 522. Hurry and save the City Lord! Before Soldier Forest's City Lord could reply, thousands of soldiers rushed over. Zhao Fu did not even look at them as he coldly said, "Kill them all." Yes. The 9 other city lords obeyed and turned into black blurs as they rushed towards the thousands of soldiers. Soldier Forest's City Lord once again assumed an offensive stance, and he looked at Zhao Fu with a gaze filled with battle intent as he said, "What's there to fear about death?" A spear containing immense piercing power pierced through the air as it stabbed towards Zhao Fu. Just as he finished speaking, Soldier Forest's City Lord started to attack. Zhao Fu stood where he was and lightly sighed. Is he very bloodthirsty? That's probably not the case. After all, Zhao Fu most often asks if you surrender, and Zhao Fu doesn't want to engage in pointless killing unless he has no other choice. If he doesn't surrender, you won't let him off and let him harm you in the future, right? The spear stabbed forwards like a ray of light, but Zhao Fu did not move at all. Only when the spear was about to hit Zhao Fu did Zhao Fu act. Zhao Fu easily grabbed the spear with one hand while his other hand shot out like lightning, stabbing into Soldier Forest's City Lord's chest and pulling out his heart. Soldier Forest's City Lord's corpse powerlessly fell to the ground. All of this happened incredibly quickly, and it was all over in the blink of an eye. A black City Lord seal gradually floated out of the corpse, and Zhao Fu threw away the bloody heart and grabbed the City Lord seal. Soldier Forest's City Lord had been heavily injured, so Zhao Fu was naturally able to easily kill him. After all, Zhao Fu's Qin seal had the power of 10 City Lord seals, and it far surpassed ordinary City Lord seals. Let alone being heavily injured, even if he wasn't injured at all, Zhao Fu would still be able to easily kill him. On the other side, thousands of soldiers had been slaughtered by the 9 city lords. Corpses littered the ground, and blood splattered everywhere. After the city lord died, Soldier Forest became even more chaotic. Many players ran away in fear, and the soldiers and residents furiously rushed over. Zhao Fu flew into the city hall and chose to occupy and relocate Soldier Forest. Notification: Congratulations, you have conquered a system main city and obtained 5,000 achievement points. Notification: Because you're the legatee of a nation, you conquered a system main city and obtained a large amount of the region's fate. Notification: You have relocated a system main city and obtained 900,000 EXP. Notification: Congratulations, you have received 200 war points. After relocating Soldier Forest, Zhao Fu and the others stood in the air, looking down at the countless terrified players and civilians. Zhao Fu let out a breath and said, "Start setting fire and seal off Soldier Forest." As soon as he finished speaking, Qin's assassins, who were hiding below, took advantage of the chaos and started to light fires everywhere. In order to burn the city as soon as possible, they even poured kerosene everywhere. Soon, the city was set ablaze. The 10 people standing in the air turned into rays of light and shot in different directions before stopping and forming a circle around Soldier Forest City. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the 10 City Lord seals shot into the sky, exploding out with shocking auras and giving off intense light. They formed 10 massive orbs of light that shined in all directions. The power of 10 City Lord seals was incredibly terrifying, and it caused the heavens and earth to tremble. Not only was the six-eyed flood dragon at the center of the forest of horrors woken up, but the woman in white's expression also fell. Only now did she realize that the other side's target wasn't Holy Light City, but Soldier Forest. Something must have happened in Soldier Forest, but why were there so many City Lord seals? Could it be that the other side had more than 3 city lords? Just what are you doing to Soldier Forest? The woman in white yelled as she questioned Bai Qi. However, Bai Qi ignored her. On the other side, Zhao Fu's plan had most likely succeeded, so Bai Qi didn't panic and continued to stall the woman in white. Soldier Forest City was quickly set ablaze, and the flames were dozens of meters tall. They were so hot that they could melt steel, and the heat could be felt even from 10,000 meters away. The flames quickly spread, and countless residents and players ran out of the city because they found that the teleportation channel was unusable. However, when they reached the city gates, they found that there was a formless barrier blocking them, trapping them within the city. They immediately madly attacked the barrier, but it was evident that it wouldn't be easy to break through. After all, it was created by 10 city lords working together. The flames quickly spread towards them, and countless people attacked the barrier even harder. After finding that they couldn't break through, they could only kneel and beg for mercy, hoping that Qin would spare them. I was wrong, please spare me. I swear that I won't dare to oppose Qin ever again. I surrender, I really surrender. I don't want to be burned alive. I'll call you Grandpa and Grandma, please spare us. We definitely won't oppose Qin again. We can help you attack another system main city. I beg you, please spare our lives. You are a magnanimous person. Zhao Fu looked at everything in front of him and didn't show any signs of stopping. Most of the people who had surrendered were players, and Zhao Fu had long since understood players' characters, so he didn't have any intentions of sparing them. Even though he could use them to attack another system main city, they could betray him at any moment, so Zhao Fu didn't dare to use them. The flames quickly spread throughout the entire city, and the orange flames devoured everything. People were swept into the sea of flames, and before they could even cry out, they were turned into charcoal. The flames continued to burn for 4 or 5 hours, but there were barely any survivors. Zhao Fu ordered his people to put away the city lord seals and returned to Qin City. In actuality, a small portion of the people in the city had survived, and they had hidden in the wells. Even though the wells had been poisoned by Qin, as long as they didn't drink the water, they would be fine. As such, a portion of the people had managed to escape. The news of Qin burning millions of people to death quickly spread to the real world, and the players who had been burned to death ran to the forums and cursed at Qin's brutality. This caused some people to feel quite shocked, but most people already knew how ruthless, bloodthirsty, and cold-blooded Qin City was. Setting fires was just one of its many atrocities. Countless people had seen through Qin City's true nature. It was pure evil, and it was incredibly cruel. It could only be as bad as it wanted to be, and it was impossible for it to be good. It was synonymous with darkness, and perhaps that was why Qin City valued darkness. Qin City's soldiers started to retreat, and seeing this, the ordinary people couldn't help but feel delighted, thinking that they had once again defeated Qin City. Only the woman in white looked at the retreating Qin City soldiers, and her expression became quite unsightly. Soldier Forest was most likely doomed. Chapter 523. After Zhao Fu returned to Qin, he quickly rebuilt Soldier Forest and gave the City Lord seal to Zhang Dahu, giving Qin another City Lord. Now, only Holy Light City remained in the Forest of Horrors, and it had about the same number of soldiers as Soldier Forest. However, Soldier Forest had already been destroyed, so Qin did not care too much about Holy Light City. As for Holy Light City, it could not stop Qin at all and was destined to lose. Zhao Fu gathered his generals and started to discuss how to take down Holy Light City. If they could take down Holy Light City, Qin would truly unify the entire region and establish a firm foundation for Qin. Thinking about that, Zhao Fu could not help but feel excited. After discussing, Qin quickly came up with a plan. A day later, Zhao Fu and the disaster cavalrymen once again went to Soldier Forest. This place was completely charred black and in ruins. Only a few walls were still standing, and everything else had been burnt. Zhao Fu gave the order and the disaster cavalrymen started to move. A black light shot into the sky as a black magic formation appeared, and skeletons slowly crawled out from the ruins. There were roughly 300,000 of them, and most of them had been burnt to nothing. These corpses could not be refined, so Zhao Fu wanted to see if he could turn them into undead. Most of these skeletons were ordinary skeletons, and some were summoned from Stage 1 soldiers' corpses. These skeletons were naturally much more powerful than ordinary skeletons. After taking care of these matters, a figure from Holy Light City appeared in Zhao Fu's mind. After thinking about it, Zhao Fu decided to sneak into Holy Light City. "Miss Jiang, there's someone outside who says that he's your friend and wants to see you." Jiang Ro, who was in her room, felt quite surprised when she heard this. She went outside and saw a person in a black cloak giving off a mysterious aura. Jiang Ro immediately recognized this person, and she ran up and said in delight, "Zhao Xian, you're finally here. You finally showed up. Are you all right now?" Seeing Jiang Ro's concerned expression, Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I'm fine. What is it?" After hearing Zhao Fu's reply, Jiang Ro let out a sigh of relief and said, "Your Westfall restaurant was sealed, and I was worried that something had happened to you. So that was what it was about." Zhao Fu understood and said, "That's not important. I'm here to take you away." "Take me away? Where?" Hearing this, Jiang Ro's face became red as she asked Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu realized that there was something wrong with what he had said, so he explained, "Holy Light City is about to be conquered, and I found a teleportation channel to another region. You should prepare to leave." Jiang Ro was quite shocked. She understood that Holy Light City was about to be conquered by Qin. Holy Light City was in chaos, and everyone was trying to escape. They couldn't stay in Holy Light City because they definitely wouldn't be able to stop Qin's attack. Soldier Forest had the same number of soldiers as them, but they had been trapped within the city by Qin and burned to death. Qin had only used 10 city lords and hadn't even used an army, but over 1 million people had been burned to death, just like that. They didn't want to end up like Soldier Forest. As such, many factions returned to their villages, while others headed to void zones, wanting to go to other regions. Now that the Forest of Horrors was under Qin's control, staying here would only result in death. The number of players in Holy Light City had greatly decreased. Since they couldn't defend it, they definitely wouldn't foolishly stay and wait for death. With how ruthless Qin was, how could he treat them well? Many factions quickly gathered their things. If they waited for Qin to attack, they wouldn't be able to escape. This was the same for the Jiang family. Qin would definitely destroy a large family like this. Jiang Feng felt quite worried and prepared to take the risk to escape from the Forest of Horrors. He understood the consequences of opposing Qin. As such, he told Jiang Ro to leave with him. Jiang Ro was a member of the Jiang family's main family, and it was likely that she would be killed by Qin. Even though Qin's method of bringing people from the real world into the Heaven Awakened world could not bring many people, Qin could capture the leaders of various factions. Once they were captured by Qin, they would die a true death. As such, the leaders of the various factions wanted to escape because none of them wanted to die. As a big brother, Jiang Feng treated Jiang Ro like a little sister and didn't want anything to happen to her. Moreover, with Jiang Ro around, she would be able to provide them with a lot of resources. Jiang Ro knew that Qin was about to conquer Holy Light City, and the entire Holy Light City was in a premonition of a storm. A heavy pressure covered the entire city. If the NPCs surrendered, they could live. However, Qin wouldn't spare any of the players. As such, Jiang Ro understood that she had to escape. Unexpectedly, Zhao Xian had a teleportation formation to another region. In that case, he would not have to go through the void zone and could go to another region directly. Who would have thought that Zhao Xian would think of her at such a crucial moment? Jiang Ro smiled sweetly. I've already packed my things and can leave at any time. Zhao Fu nodded and was about to take Jiang Rou and some of the shop assistants that Qin had recruited before out of this area. Now, Zhao Fu wouldn't easily trust players. Although they had once served Qin, he still had to send them away. However, Zhao Fu also gave them a lot of money as compensation. At that moment, Jiang Rou suddenly thought of something and said, "That Zhao Xin. Can I take some people from the Jiang family and leave?" Although the Jiang family had treated her badly, Jiang Rou was still a member of the Jiang family, so she would still think for the Jiang family. The Jiang family? Zhao Fu didn't plan to let them off because they had also participated in this incident. However, because of Jiang Rou, Zhao Fu couldn't bear to destroy their entire family. After thinking about it, after this incident, the Jiang family would suffer great losses in both strength and fate. Facing Jiang Rou's expectant gaze, Zhao Fu nodded and agreed. "That's great. Thank you, Zhao Xin." Jiang Rou couldn't help but hug Zhao Fu's arm. Zhao Fu didn't think too much about this intimate action. He didn't want to hide anything from Jiang Rou, so he said earnestly, "Jiang Rou, Qin can spare the Jiang family this time, but I don't want this to happen again. Otherwise, I'll really kill the Jiang family. Also, my name isn't Zhao Xin, I'm called Zhao Fu." Zhao Fu took off his hood, revealing his delicate and handsome face, as well as his noble and domineering aura. Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Jiang Rou's face became pale. She had never thought that Zhao Fu was actually one of Qin's people. Chapter 524. Jiang Rou had never thought that Zhao Fu's true identity would be so terrifying. With just his identity, let alone large families, even legatees would have to treat him with respect. With how terrifying Qin was, all factions would be afraid of him. As legatee Qin's representative in the real world, Zhao Fu definitely had a high status in Qin. No wonder Zhao Fu was so powerful. It turned out that Qin was behind him. Jiang Rou thought back to Zhao Fu's words. She couldn't control the Jiang family, and she knew what would happen to them if they went against Qin. However, she had never thought that Qin would let the Jiang family off. It was because of Zhao Fu that Qin had let the Jiang family off. In that case, Zhao Fu must have been under a lot of pressure in Qin City, especially when he had to face the bloodthirsty Emperor Qin. Thinking about that, Jiang Rou let go of Zhao Fu's arm. Zhao Fu had helped her so much, and she didn't want Zhao Fu to bear all of this for her. "Zhao Fu, I think I should stay," Jiang Rou said as she lowered her head. Hearing this, Zhao Fu felt quite startled. Looking at her, he suddenly understood and lightly laughed as he said, "If you don't leave, you'll be wasting my efforts. Plus, aren't we friends? But you've already helped me so much." Jiang Rou raised her head and looked at Zhao Fu with teary eyes, feeling quite guilty. "Well, you should repay me well in the future," Zhao Fu said as he lightly laughed. Everything he had done for Jiang Rou was a small matter, so he didn't mind it. Hearing Zhao Fu's reply, Jiang Rou said earnestly, "What do you want? I'll definitely repay you." Of course, Zhao Fu wouldn't ask for anything in return. Seeing how serious she was, he smiled and said, "I haven't thought of that yet, but hurry up. Time is tight. Maybe Qin will call at any time." Hearing this, Jiang Rou understood that time was of the essence, so she hurriedly ran to the Jiang family to inform the others. Zhao Fu also gathered all the employees that he had hired. "Boss, if possible, I still want to work for you in your shop." A group of women surrounded Zhao Fu and said reluctantly. They used to be waiters in the restaurant. Since Qin had opened the restaurant for such a long time, they were familiar with Zhao Fu. He was definitely a good boss, so they liked Zhao Fu more. "Boss, where's my master? Why aren't you leaving? You didn't do anything to my master, did you?" Hua Qing was blocked outside and could only shout. Hearing this, Zhao Fu was speechless. He replied, "Don't worry, your master. Everything will be fine." Zhao Fu had long since found out that Hua Qing was a descendant of the Han dynasty's famous general, Hua Zubing. Zhao Fu didn't want to recruit him because he felt that Hu Qing didn't want to be a general and only wanted to be a chef. Following this, Zhao Fu told them to leave and waited for Jiang Rou. A while later, a handsome young man brought a group of people over. He was Jiang Feng, Jiang Rou's big brother, and he controlled everything in the Jiang family. Brother Zhao, thank you for your help. It seemed that Jiang Rou hadn't told Jiang Feng about Zhao Fu's identity, and Jiang Feng still thought that Zhao Fu was Zhao Exin. He enthusiastically walked over and started to chat with Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu casually said a few words and told them to leave. Soon, only Jiang Rou was left. Will we meet again in the future? Now that Jiang Rou knew who Zhao Fu was, she knew that it would be difficult for them to meet again. After all, Zhao Fu was an important figure in the Qin Empire and was favored by Emperor Qin. In the future, he would follow Emperor Qin to battle all over the world. Seeing Jiang Rou's expectant expression, Zhao Fu smiled and nodded, saying, "I'll come and find you when I have time." Hearing Zhao Fu's words, Jiang Rou happily smiled and said, "Be careful in the future. Don't do things that are too dangerous. I'll wait for you. If you're tired that day, I'll be ready for you." Zhao Fu felt a warmth in his heart, and he looked at Jiang Rou and nodded earnestly. Following this, Jiang Rou stepped onto the teleportation channel and disappeared. She came to a new region and looked up at the blue sky. She suddenly remembered that when she had met Zhao Fu for the first time, someone had called him Your Majesty. However, Zhao Fu's true identity was that of Emperor Qin's representative. Why would others call him Your Majesty? Jiang Rou's expression fell as she thought of a possibility. However, she lightly smiled and shook her head. How could Zhao Fu be such a terrifying person? Seeing Jiang Rou disappear, Zhao Fu inwardly sighed. Was he tired? His fate had long since been sealed, and that day would never come. His life was bound to Qin Empire, and he would only continue to grow or die. Perhaps his corpse would end up there. Even though Zhao Fu had casually thought about it, he had never thought about the future. After waiting for another 2 days, Zhao Fu purposely waited for a large number of ordinary players to escape. Even though he wanted to kill all of them, if they left, Holy Light City's forces would decrease, making it easier to attack the city. As such, Zhao Fu gave up on killing them. Perhaps after destroying Holy Light City, he would deal with these people. By then, they might not have escaped from the Forest of Horrors yet. Now, not a single one of Holy Light City's players remained. Even though Holy Light City wanted to keep them and gave them large rewards, not a single person remained. After all, they knew that they would definitely lose, and as long as they died, no matter how many rewards they gave, it would be useless. Zhao Fu gathered his army and came to the outskirts of Holy Light City. The 12 city lords all released their terrifying auras, and it was as if there was a massive boulder weighing down on Holy Light City. The countless people within the city felt as if their hearts were being gripped by a hand, and their hairs stood on end as they instinctively felt fear. The 12 city lords' terrifying auras trampled on Holy Light City's confidence. Apart from the 12 city lords, Qin's 450,000 soldiers gave off an incredibly austere and desolate aura, making people's hearts tremble. Zhao Fu looked at the white-clothed young woman and said, "Admit defeat. You don't have any chance of winning. If you want to fight, then fight. I won't submit to a cruel and tyrannical person like you." The white-clothed young woman resolutely refused, and she gripped her white sword, preparing to fight. Zhao Fu frowned and said, "Do you really think that you can defeat the 12 of us? Even with the 500,000 soldiers in your city, that's not very likely. Of course, I, Qin, might have to pay a price, but if I, Qin, suffer too many casualties, I won't accept any surrender. I'll show you what cruelty is. No matter if it's a man, woman, old or young, I'll order people to chop off their limbs, dig out their eyes and cut off their tongues. I'll also skin them and hang them under the sun. I'll let them howl as they slowly dry up. I'll also leave you alive so that you can witness all of this." Even if you die, you won't be able to do it. Chapter 525. Zhao Fu's tone was calm and did not contain any killing intent, but it caused Holy Light City's people to feel a chill in their hearts. It was as if they could already see that pitiful scene, and expressions of terror appeared on their faces. The white-clothed young woman was furious, but she could not say anything. After all, Holy Light City had no hope of winning at all, and the outcome was very likely to be the same as what the other party had said. Facing 12 city lords, she would not even have a chance to die. Should we still resist? The white-clothed young woman clenched her fist. If there was a sliver of hope for victory, she would definitely persist with her original plan. But now that she heard how Lin Fan was going to torture her commoners, she started to hesitate. If she lost, she did not want to see that terrifying scene. Zhao Fu did not say anything, and he continued to stare at the woman in white. After a while, the woman in white said, "If I surrender, how will you treat my residents?" "I will treat them equally and treat them all as Qin's subjects." Zhao Fu raised his head and replied earnestly. After hearing Zhao Fu's reply, the woman in white hesitated before saying, "I choose to surrender." A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face. This was one of the benefits of persuading people to surrender. He could obtain massive benefits without suffering any losses. Hearing the city lord's words, most people let out a sigh of relief. A small portion of people were unwilling, but they still obeyed the city lord's orders. Zhao Fu ordered the disaster cavalrymen to quickly lead the 300,000 skeletons away. There were simply too many skeletons, and Zhao Fu was unable to control them. If they went berserk after Zhao Fu accepted their surrender, that would not be good. Following this, Zhao Fu officially took over Holy Light City. Groups of Qin's soldiers marched into Holy Light City, and the system main city guards and residents put down their weapons and gathered together. Zhao Fu went to the city hall, and the woman in white's body gave off waves of white light as a white city lord's seal floated out of her body. Zhao Fu grabbed the city lord's seal and set it as a subordinate city. The white city lord's seal immediately shrank, and a portion of its power was absorbed by the Qin city lord's seal. Over at the city heart, Zhao Fu placed his hand on it and chose to conquer and relocate. System announcement. Congratulations, you have conquered a system main city and obtained 5,000 achievement points. Notification. Because you're the legatee of a nation, you conquered a system main city and obtained a large amount of the region's fate. Notification. You have relocated a system main city and obtained 860,000 EXP. Notification. Congratulations, you have received 200 war points. Zhao Fu did not care about these basic prompts. What caught Zhao Fu's attention were the other two prompts. One was the national prompt, which meant that the whole of China could hear it. Notification. After Qin unifies the Forest of Horrors, players will no longer spawn, and Qin will obtain the title of Region Lord and a large amount of Region Fate. This system announcement was different from before. When Qin had destroyed 4 system main cities, it had only said that the 4 system main cities had been conquered and that players would not be spawned. However, this notification showed that Qin had unified the region and obtained the title of Region Lord, as well as a large amount of regional providence. Zhao Fu thought about it and realized that it was most likely because Qin City was here. After all, Qin City was now the only faction in the Forest of Horrors. Of the regions that Zhao Fu had destroyed, the 4 system main cities had only been conquered and had not been rebuilt. If they had rebuilt the system main cities, that region would most likely belong to Qin City, and Qin would have received another region's fate. As it had been said before, the more land one had, the more fate one had. These lands did not provide fate all at once but continuously. After Qin had destroyed 2 nation legatees, his nation armament and clan armament, which had not been upgraded yet, had been upgraded to level 5 and level 4 respectively after obtaining a large amount of region fate. After upgrading, nation armaments would naturally become even more powerful, and the power they gave off would cause people to feel incredibly shocked. As for the Region Lord title, Zhao Fu looked at it and found that it was just a simple title that did not have much use. When this system announcement sounded out, all of China was shaken. Even though they had long since made preparations, and no one could stop Qin after hearing about this, they still couldn't help but feel shocked. Qin City had already unified a region, laying the first cornerstone for Qin City's kingdom. In the future, Qin City would continue to expand, and the Warring States era was about to begin. This put a massive amount of pressure on the other dynasty legatees and factions, forcing them to hurry up and not waste any time. There was another system announcement, which was about conquering a region and obtaining a region treasure chest. Looking at the region treasure chest in his hand, Zhao Fu felt quite excited, but he did not open it for now. He decided to go back and see what he could obtain. Following this, after Zhao Fu relocated Holy Light City, he took a large number of people and returned to Qin City. It was the first time that many people had seen Qin City, and they were quite shocked. After all, the development here was no different from that of an ordinary system main city. After rebuilding Holy Light City, Zhao Fu left the people to Li Si and Shang Yang. As for the woman in white, she was called to a hall by Zhao Fu. Looking at the pure and innocent woman in front of him, Zhao Fu's attitude became better, but she still had a cold expression. "You've submitted to me, so you should listen to my orders. However, I know what you're thinking, so I'll give you two choices. The first choice is that if you don't want to fight for me, you'll still be the city lord of Holy Light City in name and live with your residents. However, I'll give the city lord seal to someone else because I need it to attack other cities. Moreover, I'll make you a concubine. Of course, I won't touch you, as this is only in name. The second choice is to listen to my orders and wholeheartedly serve me, Qin City. Don't worry, as long as you serve me, Qin City, I won't mistreat anyone." Hearing this, the woman in white felt quite surprised. She had never thought that Zhao Fu's attitude would change so quickly. Before, he had been incredibly cruel and bloodthirsty, but now, he had become incredibly gentle. Moreover, he respected her wishes and allowed her to choose. At first, the woman in white had accepted her fate and completely given up. She had planned to let Zhao Fu do whatever he wanted to her, including becoming his concubine. This was because Bai Qi had long since said that Zhao Fu lacked a concubine and wanted her to become an imperial concubine. As such, the woman in white had expected that she would become his woman. However, what she found quite strange was that since he had made her a concubine, why had he touched her? The woman in white could not understand. In actuality, she did not want to listen to Zhao Fu's orders and serve Qin City. After all, she had seen how cruel Qin City was, and with her personality, she simply could not accept it. Chapter 526. Zhao Fu did not move, and he silently waited for the white-clothed woman's reply. A while later, the white-clothed woman made a decision and said in a negotiating tone, "I can choose the first option, but I also want to choose the second option. I can become your concubine and obey your orders, but I can't do some extremely cruel and bloody things." After saying this, the white-clothed woman started to feel nervous. She was the loser, and if she made Zhao Fu angry, she would not be able to obtain anything. Zhao Fu thought for a moment before nodding and agreeing to her request. He was quite satisfied with this, as he would be able to make her loyal to him and obtain her phoenix chi. There was nothing else he could ask of her. As for extremely cruel and bloody things, Qin Zhao Fu did not seem to have done anything, and in Zhao Fu's eyes, it was not very cruel and bloody. Perhaps he had gone too far, and if she was not willing, he could send someone else to do it. In actuality, Zhao Fu did not want to take back the city lord seal, and he hoped that the white-clothed woman would choose the second option. After all, Holy Light City's population had reached 500,000, so he had to be careful. Seeing that Zhao Fu had agreed, the woman in white gave a trace of a smile, and her tense heart relaxed. "What's your name?" Zhao Fu asked. The white-clothed woman did not hide anything and replied, "I'm called by Ruoxue." Zhao Fu looked at Xianru, who smiled and picked up a brush and started to write on a piece of paper. Soon, she finished writing and handed it to Zhao Fu. Following this, Zhao Fu made by Ruoxue a concubine, and a large amount of her phoenix chi was absorbed by the Emperor Phoenix statue. Bai Ruoxue sensed something, but she did not say anything. Now that there was nothing to do, Zhao Fu told Bai Ruoxue to leave. Even though she had been made a concubine, there were no restrictions on her freedom, and she did not live with a concubine. Zhao Fu had obtained 500,000 people from Holy Light City, bringing Holy Light City's total population to 32 million. At the same time, Holy Light City's 130,000 Stage 1 soldiers belonged to Qin. The 130,000 Stage 1 soldiers included Holy Light City's original soldiers and Demon Tree City's soldiers. Back when Qin had assassinated Demon Tree City's city lord, most of the residents and soldiers had been sent to the other two system main cities. Moreover, Great Qin had obtained so many soldiers for free, and the city lords were willing to surrender without any resistance. Zhao Fu did not hesitate and accepted these soldiers into Great Qin's army. Now, Great Qin had 580,000 soldiers, and Zhao Fu recruited another 20,000 soldiers, making it 600,000 soldiers. There were now 400,000 or so Stage 1 soldiers. Great Qin already had 250,000 or so Stage 1 soldiers, and now they had 130,000 more. Adding on the soldiers who were continuously breaking through, they definitely had 400,000 or so Stage 1 soldiers. Great Qin's strength was now incredibly terrifying. Holy Light City was the city that Zhao Fu had spent the most time in, and there were many people he was familiar with, such as Qin Nan, the chubby internal affairs officer, the general who had spoken at the auction, the captain of the guards who had helped protect the Westfall restaurant, and the chief of the real estate department. Now, everyone had their heads lowered and looked incredibly respectful, not daring to make a sound. Qin Nan had never thought that his brother Zhao would be a dynasty legatee, and that he would have already conquered Holy Light City. Even the city lord, who was so noble in his eyes, had been forced to submit to him and become his concubine. Thinking about everything in the past, Qin Nan felt quite complicated. Even though his relationship with Zhao Fu had been quite good before, that was because he was noble and Zhao Fu was lowly. Now, things were different in front of Zhao Fu. He was like an ant that Zhao Fu could kill whenever he wanted. Qin Nan still felt quite afraid. He wondered if he had offended Zhao Fu in the past, and he was afraid that Zhao Fu would come to take revenge. Zhao Fu only smiled towards these people and did not look into what had happened in the past. After taking care of these matters, Zhao Fu had the army rest for a day, and the next day, they would start on the grand plan. Suddenly, a piece of bad news came, causing Zhao Fu to frown and feel a headache. These people really don't want to give up. The bad news was that Qin had been surrounded and trapped. The various dynasty legatees and factions had lured countless ordinary people into joining the fight against Qin. They had set up defensive walls in each of the 4 regions around the Forest of Horrors, surrounding the Forest of Horrors. Each defensive wall was made up of millions of players, and they had also set up isolation barriers, wanting to trap Qin within the Forest of Horrors. These ordinary players were incredibly reckless and greedy for rewards, and they had been used by the various dynasty legatees and factions to resist Qin. He had just dealt with the problem in the Forest of Horrors, and now there was another big problem, causing Zhao Fu to feel a headache. Even though these players were quite weak, there were many of them, making them quite troublesome. Even if he killed them all, they would still slow down Qin's development, making Zhao Fu feel quite depressed. Moreover, Qin didn't seem to have anything that could break through the isolation barriers, and Zhao Fu wondered if the void crystal had that ability. Right now, Qin mainly relied on teleportation channels with the void crystal, which allowed him to ignore the restrictions of the void zones and travel between regions. The void crystal most likely had a powerful ability to break through isolation barriers. With that in mind, Zhao Fu went to the teleportation channel, but he was still unable to leave the Forest of Horrors. Could it be that Qin had really been trapped? Suddenly, Zhao Fu thought about the three system main cities. Didn't they have things that could break through isolation barriers? He could use them, but he didn't know what they had used. However, when Zhao Fu called Bai Ruoxue over, he was disappointed. After all, they had fused the void crystal with teleportation channels, and when he relocated a system main city, the teleportation channels had been destroyed, making them unusable. If he had known this would happen, Zhao Fu wouldn't have relocated Holy Light City. Now that he was trapped in the Forest of Horrors, he could only think of other methods. He ordered scholars like Bai Shan to see if they could repair the teleportation channels. However, Zhao Fu wasn't in a hurry to leave. Now that he had unified the Forest of Horrors, the entire Forest of Horrors was his. Of course, he had to get rid of all factions that didn't belong to Qin, whether they were player villages or wilderness villages. After all, the Forest of Horrors was Qin's heart, and he couldn't allow anything to happen to it. If he wanted to make the entire Forest of Horrors Qin's, he had to get rid of all factions. Chapter 527. Since there was no way to deal with the isolation barrier, Zhao Fu decided to put his focus on the military. Right now, clearing out all of the factions in the Forest of Horrors was Qin's main task. However, the Forest of Horrors was quite big, and it was difficult to see far. Even though Qin had been in the Forest of Horrors for a long time, he only controlled the surrounding 10,000 kilometers. Now, clearing out all of the factions in the Forest of Horrors was a massive undertaking, and it was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Of course, clearing out the Forest of Horrors would provide Qin with a large number of people, EXP, and resources. Boom! Just as Zhao Fu was thinking about these things, a massive might descended, causing the air to seem to freeze. Everyone in Qin was given a big fright, and they rushed outside. A 1,000-meter-long black flood dragon circled in the sky, looking down at Qin and the others. Seeing that the six-eyed flood dragon dared to come to Great Qin, Bai Qi and the other city lords exploded out with their city lord seal's power and turned into rays of light that shot into the sky, giving off a shocking aura. The six-eyed flood dragon was given a big fright and immediately retreated far away. "What are you doing? Your lord said that I can come and play," the six-eyed flood dragon said in a frightened and nervous voice. Now that Qin had so many city lords, ordinary bosses would have to run. Hearing the six-eyed flood dragon's words, the city lords all looked quite surprised and stopped what they were doing. At that moment, Zhao Fu walked out. Seeing Zhao Fu, the six-eyed flood dragon looked quite delighted and hurriedly said, "Zhao Fu, look at your people. Look at your people, they want to bully me." Zhao Fu couldn't help but laugh, and he had everyone else leave before flying into the sky and asking the six-eyed flood dragon, "Why did you come here?" The six-eyed flood dragon smiled as it said, "Now that you've become the lord of this region, there aren't many restrictions on me anymore. I can go anywhere I want, and I don't have to stay at the center of this region." Zhao Fu understood that the boss of each region had some restrictions, and now that he had conquered all of the system main cities, there were no more restrictions on the boss of this region. "Then you can stay here and play. However, you have to retract your aura or it'll affect others greatly." Zhao Fu smiled and welcomed them. Right now, the Forest of Horrors had one of the biggest uncertainties, which was the six-eyed flood dragon. After dealing with this factor, there was basically nothing else in the Forest of Horrors that could threaten Qin. Hearing Zhao Fu's words, the six-eyed flood dragon came back to its senses and immediately retracted its might before saying, "Zhao Fu, I'm not afraid of you. Is that okay now? Zhao Fu nodded. With the six-eyed flood dragon's immense might, even Qin would not be able to live peacefully, as ordinary creatures would not be able to withstand it at all. However, looking at the six-eyed flood dragon's huge body, Zhao Fu asked curiously, "Can you shrink your body a little? Or you can even transform into a human form?" However, the six-eyed flood dragon shook its head and said, "I can't do that right now. That requires great power or evolution into a higher-level creature." "You need even greater power?" Zhao Fu was quite shocked because the six-eyed flood dragon's power was already quite terrifying. If it needed even greater power, it meant that every demon beast in human form would have unimaginable power. After looking at God Ker's information, Zhao Fu found that the level in the Legacy Land was still too low, and there were no high-grade existences. However, Zhao Fu could understand why, or else the world would have long since been destroyed by those high-grade existences. "Zhao Fu, I want to eat good food," the six-eyed flood dragon said like a little girl who wanted a snack. Before, whenever Zhao Fu had time, he would bring some things that children like to eat. Seeing that the six-eyed flood dragon wanted to eat, Zhao Fu had it land on the ground and ordered people to prepare a pile of food for it. After happily eating, the six-eyed flood dragon left. However, it did not return to the depths of the Forest of Horrors and instead went to other regions. It said that it wanted to see if there was anything good there, and it said, "She will come back." The six-eyed flood dragon had never felt any enmity towards Qin, and now that it had left, the Forest of Horrors truly belonged to Qin, and it could not resist at all. The next day, Zhao Fu's soldiers had finished resting and started to clear out the Forest of Horrors. Of course, Zhao Fu first discussed with his generals about how to quickly clear out all of the factions. Their previous method was too slow, so they had to change to a different method. Zhao Fu split the 600,000 soldiers into 600 teams, which had 1,000 people in each team. Ordinary villages only had a few hundred villagers, and facing Qin's soldiers, they would not be able to resist at all. If they encountered an intermediate village, an advanced village, or even a town, the teams would be able to gather and attack. Each team would have at least a gray wolf, a kobold, and a ratfolk detective. They were all hunting type, which meant that they could search and track. With them around, Qin's soldiers would be able to find villages more quickly, which would speed up Qin's clearing process. In order to not miss a single one, Qin's 600 teams of soldiers started to sweep through the Forest of Horrors with Qin at the center. As for the 12 city lords, they were responsible for controlling the situation. They stood in the sky and observed everything in case anything unexpected happened. Everything went according to plan, and Zhao Fu let out a breath as he watched the teams of soldiers set out. The Forest of Horrors most likely would not be too dangerous, and Qin's main task was to clear out all of the factions. Zhao Fu did not know how long it would take, but it would at least take some time. Seeing that everything had settled down in Qin, Zhao Fu relaxed. He felt that there was nothing much to do, so he decided to return to the real world. Before, his bodyguard had told him that the family leaders had come to find him, and it had been a while since he had left. At the same time, he had to think about how to deal with the suppression of the other dynasty legatees and factions. The situation could not continue like this, and it would be best to think of a way to suppress them. Just as Zhao Fu was about to return to the real world, he suddenly remembered that he had forgotten that he still had a region treasure chest that he had not opened yet. The last time he had opened it, he had obtained the reality tree. What would he obtain this time? Zhao Fu curiously opened the region treasure chest. Countless rays of blinding white light shined out as a pure crystal floated out of the chest. This crystal was as big as a fist and had an irregular shape. It was incredibly pure and did not have any impurities, and it gave off a faint white light that gave off a warm energy. Angel's Heart. The heart of a six-winged angel that contains the purest source energy of an angel. As such, it has a large amount of holy light energy and is extremely destructive towards demon creatures. Chapter 528. A Six-Winged Angel's Heart? Zhao Fu could clearly sense that this heart contained powerful holy light energy, and the sky demon's sword at his waist gave off a sense of disgust. After all, angels and demons were natural enemies, and for her to feel such disgust with the sky demon sword's power showed just how powerful this heart was. Zhao Fu couldn't think of a use for this heart yet, so he put it away for now. He would see what he could do with it later. After returning to the real world, Zhao Fu called over his bodyguard and told him to report to the leaders that he had woken up and could discuss matters. The bodyguard nodded and prepared to leave. "Zhao Fu, you bastard, let me in!" Someone yelled from outside. Zhao Fu slightly frowned because he could tell that this voice belonged to Feng Xiu. The bodyguard looked at Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu nodded, allowing her in. After the bodyguard left, Feng Xiu rushed in and glared at Zhao Fu angrily. "You already know who I am. I'm your legatee's woman. Why do I need your permission to come in? Aren't you afraid of being punished by your legatee?" Zhao Fu rolled his eyes and said, "If you have something to say, then say it. If not, you can leave. The leaders of the Ying family will be coming soon to discuss important matters." Feng Xiu felt quite displeased and coldly harumphed. However, she understood that she didn't have much time, so she asked, "Is your legatee all right? Is he injured?" Zhao Fu felt quite surprised that she would ask such a thing. He first replied that he wasn't injured before asking, "Why are you so concerned about him?" After hearing that legatee Qin was fine, Feng Xiu relaxed and sat down on the sofa as she replied, "He's my future man, so of course I'm concerned about him. Is that so? Aren't you angry that your family sent you here as a tool for a marriage alliance?" Zhao Fu asked in confusion. "What's there to be angry about? Also, I really like Crown Prince Qin's domineering aura and that terrifying aura. Also, have you talked to Crown Prince Qin about me? What did he think of me?" Feng Xiu's tone was very normal at first, but when she said the last sentence, her expression became a bit shy as she looked at Zhao Fu expectantly. When Zhao Fu heard her words and looked at her, he couldn't help but smile. When did he have such charm? However, facing her question, Zhao Fu replied, "Yes, but the emperor didn't say anything." "Really?" Feng Xiu's face darkened and she looked disappointed. Seeing her like this, Zhao Fu kindly advised, "You've never seen Prince Qin before. Actually, he's not as good as you think he is." "Humph!" Feng Xiu harumphed. "It's definitely because you didn't tell me what I looked like. With my looks, it's impossible that Prince Qin wouldn't be interested. Also, since you dared to talk badly about Prince Qin, I'll tell you now that you're dead meat." Zhao Fu could only helplessly look at Feng Xiu and ask, "What do you want?" Feng Xiu proudly crossed her arms and smiled as she said, "At least you know what's good for you. From now on, you have to listen to everything I say and say good things about me in front of the emperor. Also, you have to tell him what kind of women he likes and—" Wait, hearing Feng Xiu say so much, Zhao Fu immediately cut her off and said, "What are you talking about? What? Do you believe that I won't tell Prince Qin what you just said? You'll definitely be punished," Feng Xiu said threateningly as she glared at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu felt quite speechless. He couldn't tell her that he was Prince Qin, so he said, "I'll make Prince Qin acknowledge your identity. Are you satisfied now?" Feng Xiu happily laughed, seeming quite satisfied. Following this, the family leaders came in, and Feng Xiu understood and left. "Is there something you need?" Zhao Fu asked as he looked at the Ying family leaders. "No, there's nothing else. We were just a bit worried at first. After all, Qin was defeated. Now that Qin has unified the Forest of Horrors, Qin's path to restoring the Qin Empire has begun. Everything else must be going well for Qin. Is there anything else you need our help with?" One of the Ying family leaders smiled as he spoke to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu thought for a moment before replying, There's nothing that I need your help with right now. The Ing family should focus on developing and becoming stronger. Perhaps you'll be able to help in the future." The family leaders nodded, indicating that they understood. One of the patriarchs said, "What about the people outside the Ing family? They've been waiting outside this entire time, and after Qin was defeated, most of them left. However, they still chose to stay here, which shows their determination and desire to pledge their loyalty to Qin." "You asked His Majesty how to deal with them? Should they continue to wait outside or accept them?" Zhao Fu did not immediately reply. Instead, he thought about it and decided that they could not continue to stay outside. Qin needed some other factions to join, as Zhao Fu felt that his faction was quite weak. "His Majesty told me to give them a name so that we can take them into the Ing family and make them part of Qin's faction. However, it's just a name. If we really want to use them, we'll have to test them." Hearing this, the family heads nodded in understanding. Zhao Fu once again said, "Family leaders, please tell me all of the Ing family's factions. It's best if you don't leave out a single person so that I can accurately gauge the Ing family's strength." The family leaders did not hide anything from him. After all, Zhao Fu was representing Qin's majesty, so it was definitely Qin's majesty who had asked him to do this, so they all answered Zhao Fu truthfully. Zhao Fu listened attentively, but in the end, he could only sigh. Zhao Fu had been thinking about how to suppress the other dynasty legatees, so that Qin would not always be at a disadvantage. However, he found that there was nothing he could do. Even though Qin was quite powerful in the Heaven Awakened world, it could only stay in the northern region and could not influence other regions. As such, it was impossible for it to suppress the other dynasty legatees. The various dynasty legatees and factions could influence the entire Chinese region through the real world. Qin's power was only in the Heaven Awakened world, and Zhao Fu did not have any power in the real world. Even though the Ing family's power could be borrowed, and it was quite powerful as one of the 5 great families, it was still too weak. After all, Qin had too many enemies, and with so many factions added together, the Ing family could not compare at all. They could give out rewards in the real world to attract ordinary people to resist Qin, but the Ing family could not do this. After all, Qin simply had too many enemies, and they could not give out rewards to attract countless people. After all, the resources required to resist Qin were simply too massive, and only the Ing family could shoulder the burden. Chapter 529. Following this, the family leaders left, and Zhao Fu gave up on thinking. He simply couldn't think of anything, so he could only wait for an opportunity in the future. Zhao Fu asked the bodyguards to bring him some food, and just as he was about to fill his stomach and enter the Heaven Awakened world, he received a call from his grandpa. However, when he received a call from his grandpa, Zhao Fu felt quite hesitant. Ever since the last gathering, Zhao Fu had not been in contact with them much. Zhao Fu didn't have a bad impression of his cousins, but he didn't have a good impression of them either. He hated his uncle and auntie, and the only people he felt close to were his grandparents. If it wasn't for them, Zhao Fu definitely wouldn't have interacted with them. Even though Zhao Fu could understand what they were doing, that didn't mean that Zhao Fu didn't mind at all. Ever since Zhao Fu had become the proxy family leader, as Zhao Fu's relatives, their treatment had greatly improved, and they now had the treatment of direct disciples. Not only did they live in their own villas, but they also had large amounts of money to spend. Moreover, because of Zhao Fu, many people would try to curry favor with them and give them all sorts of luxurious things. Now, their lives were hundreds of times better than before. Zhao Fu didn't care about this, but because of his grandpa's face, he didn't bicker with them. After hesitating for a moment, Zhao Fu decided to pick up the call. After all, they were his only relatives in the world. "Grandpa, what is it?" His grandpa happily smiled and said, "Fu heir, Didn't I already send you a message? Didn't I send you a text message before? You missed your cousin's engagement, so hurry up and come over for a meal. Don't be late. Don't worry, I didn't invite anyone else. It's just our family. That's right. Hearing how happy his grandpa was, Zhao Fu didn't want to interrupt him, so he agreed. A while later, Zhao Fu brought a few bodyguards to his grandpa's house, and it was his grandpa who welcomed him. He was worried that Zhao Fu wouldn't come, so he waited at the door. When he saw Zhao Fu, Grandpa happily grabbed Zhao Fu's hand and brought him into the house. Within the room, there was a round table that was filled with people. Apart from Zhao Fu's grandmother, his cousin, uncles, aunts, and Zheng Jiao were also there. She was the woman Zhao Fu's cousin had saved, and she had started dating his cousin. Now they were most likely engaged. Zhao Fu didn't care about this at all. Now that he thought about it, he remembered that Zheng Jiao was quite pretty. She had exquisite facial features, tender skin, long hair, and wore a white floral dress. Right now, she was sitting together with her cousin, looking so affectionate that others were envious of her. However, she sensed that Zhao Fu had arrived, and her expression changed slightly. However, she hid it well, and no one noticed. Apart from Zheng Jiao, there was also a woman sitting next to Zhao Fu's cousin. She was quite beautiful and had bright red lipstick on her lip. She wore a dress and stockings, making her look quite flirtatious. At that moment, Zhao Fu's cousin was putting food into her bowl, looking quite intimate. They were most likely a couple. When Zhao Fu was brought in by his grandpa, they all smiled and welcomed him. With Zhao Fu's status, he was incredibly prestigious, and everything they had was given to them by Zhao Fu. This was especially so for Zhao Fu's auntie, who treated Zhao Fu excessively well. As soon as Zhao Fu sat down, she would place all sorts of vegetables into his bowl and tell him to eat more and take care of his body. Zhao Fu politely smiled in response to everyone. However, Zhao Fu had already seen through reality, so he didn't care about these things and planned to leave after eating. However, just as Zhao Fu ate a few mouthfuls, his auntie smiled and said, "Zhao Fu, you're the acting leader of the Ying family. You're now the acting family head of the Ying family, and you're the most powerful person in the entire Ying family. Everyone listens to you. Look at your cousins. They've been idling at home all day, and they have nothing to do. See if you can help them find something to do." Even though they didn't have to worry about food and clothing, they didn't have anything that they could truly control. They could easily lose everything, and they didn't have any real power. As such, they wanted Zhao Hong and Zhao Jun to be able to do something and gain some real power. His grandpa and grandma didn't stop them, because they felt that it was time for them to find something to do. With Zhao Fu's help, it would be quite easy to deal with this matter. Zhao Fu thought about it and felt that this wasn't a problem. However, if he gave them a small position, they would definitely gossip about him. If he gave them a big position and they didn't have any experience, Zhao Fu was worried that something might go wrong, so he asked, "Auntie, what do you want them to do?" Just as his auntie was about to say something, Zhao Fu's cousin, Zhao Jun, cut in, "I don't want any positions. Can you help me get a city creation stone? I want to become a lord, and perhaps I'll be able to conquer the world in the future." After saying this, Zhao Jun looked at Zhao Fu excitedly and happily. "Cousin, if it's possible, give me a city creation stone as well. Rather than working under someone else, it's better to forge my own path. However, city creation stones are simply too precious, and ordinary people can't obtain them," Zhao Fu's cousin said. Zhao Fu's uncle and auntie also felt that this wasn't a bad idea. Rather than living under someone else's charity, it would be better to establish their own faction. Even if the Ying family collapsed in the future, they would still have a place to go. They already knew that the real world was going to be destroyed, so they planned to think about the future. Even though the Ying family seemed quite powerful, they understood that Prince Qin had made too many enemies, and the Ying family would most likely be destroyed as well. If Zhao Fu could provide them with city creation stones, that would be for the best. After all, with Zhao Fu's help, they would be able to quickly develop their faction, and everything would be perfect in the future. That's right. Zhao Fu, help us prepare 2 city creation stones. Zhao Fu's uncle said. Zhao Fu turned to look at his grandparents, and seeing that they were hoping for the same thing, he nodded and agreed. Even though city creation stones were quite difficult for ordinary people to obtain, to Zhao Fu, it wasn't a big deal. Seeing that Zhao Fu had agreed, everyone at the table became quite happy. Zhao Jun's auntie called out to Zhao Fu and continued to eat, looking quite enthusiastic. Cousin, can you give me a high-quality city creation stone? It's best if it's not a normal grade 1, because normal grade 1 stats are simply too weak. Also, give me some resources. After all, you control such a massive faction like the Ying family, so this shouldn't be a problem. Zhao Jun happily said as he ate a piece of meat and looked at Zhao Fu. Chapter 530. Zhao Hong didn't want to trouble Zhao Fu, so he said, Zhao Fu, just give us 2 city creation stones. You don't need to help us with anything else, we should be able to do it. Hearing his words, Zhao Fu's auntie cursed out. Now that Zhao Fu controlled the Ying family's power, if he had his support, there would be no problems. Zhao Hong was just an idiot, not wanting to take advantage of such an opportunity. Zhao Fu, don't listen to him. If you can help, do your best to help your 2 brothers, Zhao Fu's auntie said as she smiled. Facing his mother, Zhao Hong could only remain silent. Zhao Fu's grandfather and grandmother looked quite troubled. On one hand, they didn't want Zhao Fu to be at a disadvantage, but on the other hand, they hoped that Zhao Fu would be able to help. Zhao Fu inwardly sighed, but in order to avoid the awkwardness, he still agreed. The atmosphere became lively again, and everyone became even more enthusiastic towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu just wanted to finish this meal and quickly leave. However, just as Zhao Fu was eating, a leg suddenly reached out towards him from under the table. At first, Zhao Fu thought that he had accidentally touched it, so he didn't pay it much mind. However, the leg started to rub against Zhao Fu's thigh, seeming to be teasing him. Zhao Fu frowned and moved his knee to the side, blocking the leg. Feeling that the leg was soft and slender, he guessed that it was most likely a woman's leg. There were only 3 possibilities. The first was Jing Jiao, which was quite unlikely. She had a strong personality and wouldn't do such a thing. The second was Zhao Fu's auntie, which was even more unlikely. The third was that bewitching woman, which was most likely her. Zhao Fu could sense that it was her, but he didn't know what to say, so he gave her a warning look. However, the bewitching woman coquettishly laughed and hugged Zhao Jun's arm as she said coquettishly, Zhao Jun, look at you. I've been here for so long, and you didn't even introduce me. Everyone else realized that they had indeed forgotten about this. Zhao Jun smiled and said to Zhao Fu, cousin, this is my girlfriend, Mei Xiaoyan. She's my girlfriend, Mei Xiaoyan. Then, Zhao Jun introduced him to Mei Xiaoyan, this is my cousin. He's the acting head of the Ying family and the spokesperson of Prince Qin. Is that so? Mei Xiaoyan pretended to be surprised, then turned to smile at Zhao Fu and said politely. When Zhao Jun revealed Zhao Fu's identity, his vanity was satisfied. He also heard that his girlfriend did not curry favor with Zhao Fu after knowing his identity, but was very polite, so he was more at ease with her. He thought that he had found a good woman. Zhao Fu's face was cold, because the feet under the table were already somewhat unscrupulous. The soles of the feet kept rubbing against his legs, but in the face of her words, Zhao Fu could only respond politely. Although on the surface, Mei Xiaoyan didn't say anything and only ate some food or chatted with Zhao Jun, Zhao Fu felt that her feet still didn't give up and extended towards Zhao Fu's base. If it wasn't for the fact that he was sure that it was her, Zhao Fu wouldn't have thought that she would be able to do such a thing. Zhao Fu had no choice but to get up and leave, but just as he stood up, his grandfather pulled on Zhao Fu's arm. Fu, it's not easy for the family to gather for a meal, so don't leave so early. Stay a bit longer. This, Zhao Fu didn't know what to say, but he just so happened to have the urge to pee, so he said, "Grandfather, I'm just going to the bathroom." Hearing this, his grandfather smiled and let go of Zhao Fu. He then pointed at the corner and said, "That's the bathroom." Zhao Fu nodded and left the table, while the people around him continued to chat and laugh. After arriving at the bathroom, Zhao Fu finished peeing and was about to go back and change his position, but the bathroom door suddenly opened and a figure quickly walked in, looking at Zhao Fu with a bewitching smile. Seeing Mei Xiaoyan, Zhao Fu's expression became cold as he asked, "What do you mean by this?" Mei Xiaoyan bewitchingly smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu, and her graceful body leaned towards Zhao Fu. However, she was stopped by Zhao Fu's hand, and Mei Xiaoyan lightly smiled and said, "If you stop me, I'll call you molesting me. Let's see how you explain it later." After the previous probing, Mei Xiaoyan already knew Zhao Fu's personality, which was why she was so confident. Zhao Fu could only put down his hand and look at Mei Xiaoyan's victorious posture. She hugged his arm and rubbed her ample chest against his arm. "Sorry? I'm not interested in you." Right now, he could only make things clear and clearly reject her. However, Mei Xiaoyan did not mind and hugged Zhao Fu's arm as she intimately said, "Really? I'm your cousin's girlfriend now. As a man, I don't believe that you don't feel excited." Just as she finished speaking, Mei Xiaoyan stretched out her hand towards Zhao Fu's lower body. Zhao Fu grabbed her hand, saying, "If you want money and power, Zhao Jun will get them with my help. There's no need for this." Mei Xiaoyan disdainfully harumphed, "If it wasn't for the sake of getting close to you, do you think I would really be his girlfriend? Moreover, he's not even as good as a hair on your body, so how can you compare to him?" Zhao Fu was shocked. He had thought that this woman was greedy for wealth, but he had never thought that her target would be him. He coldly said, "Who are you?" Mei Xiaoyan retracted her hand and stroked Zhao Fu's chest as she said, "I'm a member of the White Lotus Society, and I want to cooperate with Qin." White Lotus Society. Zhao Fu seemed to have heard of it before, but he could not remember the exact details. However, Zhao Fu did not like this sort of method, so he directly refused, saying, "I'm sorry. I don't want to cooperate with you." Just as Zhao Fu finished speaking, the bathroom door opened and another beautiful figure walked in. It was Jing Jiao. Seeing her come in, Zhao Fu immediately wanted to push her away, but Mei Xiaoyan turned to look at Jing Jiao and said, "Hurry up and come and serve, sir." Jing Jiao gritted her teeth and looked at Mei Xiaoyan before unwillingly walking over to Zhao Fu and squatting down as she reached towards Zhao Fu's pants. Zhao Fu looked quite confused and had never thought that something like this would happen. Was Jing Jiao and Mei Xiaoyan working together? However, looking at Jing Jiao, it seemed that she had been forced. Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and stopped Jing Jiao, while Jing Jiao looked at Zhao Fu with a trace of gratitude in her eyes. However, Mei Xiaoyan's expression became cold before she lightly laughed and said, "Looks like Sir wants to do it here. If I want to do it here, let's serve Sir together." Hearing her words, Jing Jiao bit her lips and lowered her head. She took off her dress, revealing her snow-white abdomen and bottom. She wasn't wearing anything underneath, so she took off her bra, revealing her full chest. Chapter 531. Mei Xiaoyan pulled down her clothes and wrapped her arms around Zhao Fu's neck as she leaned over. Her bright red lips were incredibly close to Zhao Fu's, and there were only a few centimeters between them. Zhao Fu could clearly smell the fragrance from her breath. Jing Jiao lightly hugged Zhao Fu from behind, and her voluptuous breasts pressed against Zhao Fu's back, making one's imagination run wild. "Sir, hurry up. Let's see what you'll do if they find out. However, I'm your cousin's woman, and Jing Jiao is your cousin-in-law. It'll probably be quite intense when we do it." Mei Xiaoyan flirtatiously smiled as she said to Zhao Fu in a soft voice. Because her body was so close to Zhao Fu's, Mei Xiaoyan could clearly sense some changes and could not help but moan. A slight blush appeared on her face, and her bright red lips moved towards Zhao Fu to kiss him. However, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and stopped her. At that moment, his grandfather's voice sounded out from outside, "Fu are you still not done after so long?" Zhao Fu hurriedly nodded before looking at Mei Xiaoyan and saying, "You can let go, I'll consider working together with the White Lotus Society." Hearing Zhao Fu agree, Mei Xiaoyan happily kissed Zhao Fu's face and said, "Sir, from now on I'll belong to you. In the future I'll belong to you." Jing Jiao let out a sigh of relief and let go of Zhao Fu, and she quickly put on her clothes. At that moment, his grandfather's voice sounded out again, and Mei Xiaoyan let go of Zhao Fu. She tidied up her clothes and Zhao Fu walked out. At the dining table, things returned to normal. Jing Jiao said that she was not feeling well, so she returned to her room, while Mei Xiaoyan continued to try to seduce Zhao Fu. After a while, they finally finished eating, and Zhao Fu returned to his room and ordered people to quickly gather information on the White Lotus Society. Zhao Fu had some impression of the White Lotus Society, as he had often heard about them. However, he did not know what the White Lotus Society was, so Zhao Fu decided to take this opportunity to investigate them. Acting patriarch. The Ying family was one of the 5 great families after all, so it was easy for them to gather information. Zhao Fu took the information from Mu Gilin and read it seriously. About an hour later, Zhao Fu had a rough understanding of the White Lotus Society. No wonder he often heard about it. It turned out that it often appeared in many movies and TV shows. The White Lotus Society was a secret religious society that had been passed down among the people since the Tang and Song dynasties. It originated from the Pure Land sect of Buddhism. According to legend, the founder of the Pure Land sect, Shi Huiyuan of the Eastern Jin dynasty, formed the White Lotus Society with Lu Yimin and others in the Lin Temple on Mount Lu. They prayed to Buddha together, and later generations of believers regarded them as role models. During the Southern Song dynasty, the monk Mao Ziyuan, Buddhist named Ci Zhao, established a new sect based on the popular Pure Land Society. It was called the White Lotus Sect or White Lotus Cult. In the early days, the White Lotus Cult originated from Buddhism, so its teachings were similar to Buddhism. It should have been good, but it later evolved into a famous evil cult in history. Its teachings were simple, and the scriptures were easy to understand. It was accepted by the people at the bottom of society, so it was often used as a tool to organize people to resist oppression. During the Yuan and Ming dynasties, the White Lotus cult had organized many peasant uprisings. During the early Qing dynasty, it developed into a secret anti-Qing organization. At the same time, it was brutally suppressed by the Qing dynasty. Other than the Taoists and Buddhists, there were very few such sects that lasted for so long. For example, the Taiping Taoist founded by Zhang Jiao and the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom's God-worshipping sect were short-lived in history. As for why it was called an evil cult and was suppressed by various dynasties, it was because it had 2 personalities, rebellious and kind. They alternated, so it played 2 roles in society. During peaceful times, the White Lotus cult supplemented the orthodox religions of Buddhism and Taoism. It played a role in the lower society that Buddhism and Taoism could not. This was also the reason why it could exist until today. However, whenever natural or man-made disasters or social unrest occurred, the White Lotus cult would go against Buddhism and Taoism. They would often become the banner of the peasants' riots or the people's uprisings. This was also the characteristic that the White Lotus cult had that was different from the orthodox religions. No dynasty would like a cult that often rebelled. Such a cult had to be brutally suppressed. No dynasty would allow such a cult to exist. It could be said that the White Lotus cult would only be suppressed by the dynasties or even eliminated. The dynasties would never allow such a cult to exist. Of course, Zhao Fu did not like such a cult. It often rebelled and would never be liked by any country. Just like the other dynasties, Zhao Fu had to suppress such a cult and could not allow it to exist. If such a cult existed, the whole country would not be at peace. Therefore, it was necessary to eliminate this hidden danger. However, even though the White Lotus cult had been brutally suppressed by the dynasties, it was still not eliminated. This showed its strength and potential for development. Their current situation was similar to that of Qin. Qin was also viewed as an enemy by the dynasties and forces. However, the difference was that Qin made them fearful, while the White Lotus cult only made them feel troublesome. They could consider working together because they had a common enemy, but it was best not to work together too deeply. Zhao Fu did not want a group of rebels to remain within Great Qin. Zhao Fu took out his phone and dialed Mei Xiaoyan's number. Mei Xiaoyan quickly picked up, saying, "Hello, what is Sir's decision? Have you told Great Qin's legatee if he's willing to work with us? We can work together, but can you make the decision?" Zhao Fu also wanted to work together. On one hand, he could reduce the pressure on Qin, and on the other hand, he could cause some trouble for the various dynasties. On the other end, Mei Xiaoyan said, "Sir, you must be joking. How can I make the decision for such a big matter? I'll tell our holy daughter, and she'll talk to you." The call quickly ended, and Zhao Fu waited for a while before his phone rang. It was an unknown number, and Zhao Fu picked it up. A very alluring voice sounded out, and Zhao Fu understood that it was the White Lotus cult's holy daughter. They talked about how they would work together, what they would have to pay, and what they would receive. The conversation ended quite smoothly, and both sides were quite satisfied. Qin's main goal was to destroy the various dynasty legatees and large factions. Even if they did not work together with the White Lotus cult, Zhao Fu would definitely do that. The White Lotus Society had people in all of China's regions, and even though they did not have many people in each region, their information was quite comprehensive. When necessary, they could provide intelligence or help Great Qin in battle. This allowed Great Qin's vision to not just be limited to the northern side but all of China. After the conversation, Zhao Fu put down his phone in satisfaction. Just as he was about to enter the Heaven Awakened world, his phone rang again. Chapter 532. Hearing that flirtatious voice, Zhao Fu felt quite helpless and replied, "I'm busy right now." Zhao Fu wanted to return to the Heaven Awakened world as soon as possible, as he had been in the Heaven Awakened world for a while now, and he wanted to go back and see Qin's progress. Mei Xiaoyan felt quite disappointed, but she understood that Qin and the White Lotus Society had just started to work together, so she said, "Then, sir, call me when you have time. I'll come and keep you company at any time." Hearing this, Zhao Fu sighed and thought about his grandpa's family. No matter what, they were still related to him by blood, and they were his family. Zhao Fu felt quite troubled about this. On one hand, he wanted to cut off all ties with them, but on the other hand, Zhao Fu could not bring himself to do this. It was not just his grandpa and grandma, but also his deceased mother. "Can't you be with Zhao Jun?" Zhao Fu said in a persuasive tone because he did not want to have that sort of relationship with her. However, Mei Xiaoyan said coquettishly, "No. Sir, I might be your woman, and I'll only serve you. How could I be his woman? Also, don't worry, sir, I didn't even let him touch me, my body only belongs to you." Now that she had developed such an intimate relationship with Zhao Fu, how could Mei Xiaoyan give up? She understood Zhao Fu's personality, and if something could happen between her and Zhao Fu, it would be of great benefit to the White Lotus Society. Zhao Fu did not know what to say, so he gave a simple reply before hanging up. However, his phone rang again, and Zhao Fu saw that it was another unknown number. Zhao Fu picked it up, and Jing Jiao's voice sounded out, "Zhao Fu, are you there?" Zhao Fu lightly nodded and felt quite confused as to why she was calling him. You should be working together with them, right? In that case, I'll become your woman and serve you wholeheartedly. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Can you ask them to spare my family?" Jing Jiao's sobbing, aggrieved voice sounded from the other side. Zhao Fu understood. No wonder Jing Jiao was like that. It turned out that her family had been threatened. This was not a big deal, and Zhao Fu immediately agreed. "Thank you so much," Jing Jiao said gratefully. Just as he was about to hang up and enter the heaven-awakened world, a voice suddenly rang out from behind him. However, Jing Jiao's voice once again sounded out, sounding a bit hesitant. "I think I should break up with your cousin and go to your place to serve you. After all, I'm your woman now, and it's not good for me to stay by another man's side." Hearing this, Zhao Fu was speechless and thought for a moment before saying, "You probably like him. Then you can continue to be with him." "Yes, I do like your cousin, but I'm your woman now, and my body belongs to you. In fact, if possible, I want to be with you more as your woman because you can protect me and my family. I don't want to be like this again and again, being treated like an ant by others." Jing Jiao felt quite uncomfortable at first, and she couldn't help but start to cry. Zhao Fu fell silent. Back then, Jing Jiao had been kidnapped by the Ying family, and almost no one had dared to resist. Now she was being threatened by the White Lotus Society, and she was powerless to resist. This was the sorrow of the weak, and it was why Zhao Fu was willing to do anything to become stronger. Can I be your woman? Don't worry that my body isn't clean. I only kissed your cousin a few times, and I'm still a virgin. My body is definitely clean," Jing Jiao begged in a slightly pleading voice. Zhao Fu didn't know how to deal with this, so he could only reply, "I'll protect your family." Jing Jiao happily replied, "Then I'm your woman now." Zhao Fu felt a headache coming on. Jing Jiao was engaged to his cousin, so she was his cousin-in-law. Just as he was about to say something, his cousin's voice sounded out, "Jiao, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" It was most likely his cousin walking into the room and seeing Jing Jiao crying. He asked in concern. After hanging up, Zhao Fu shook his head and tossed this matter aside before entering the heaven-awakened world again. It was the second day in the heaven-awakened world, and Zhao Fu sat in a hall and looked at the reports from various factions. Great Qin's advance went quite smoothly, and nothing unexpected happened. The various teams had different types of scavengers, and there were many of them. They spread out with Great Qin at the center, clearing out many times faster than before. The villages were unable to resist at all, and Qin's strength was enough to completely suppress them. In just a day, they had obtained 30,000 people, which was quite shocking. With this sort of speed, Zhao Fu estimated that they would be able to clear out the Forest of Horrors in a month or so. When that time came, Qin would be able to firmly grasp the Forest of Horrors, and it would become Qin's first cornerstone. Apart from clearing out the indigenous residents' villages, Zhao Fu also observed the movements of the player villages. Right now, most players were migrating en masse, gathering tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people to cross the void zones. With how dangerous the void zones were, unless there were a lot of people, it would be quite difficult to cross them. However, even with so many people, there were still heavy losses, and only a small portion of people successfully reached other regions. As such, some players decided to stay behind. The players who stayed behind felt that their villages were quite remote, and with how big the Forest of Horrors was, it would be impossible for Qin to discover them. They were also quite reluctant to part with their resources. After all, they had developed here for so long, and they were quite unwilling to leave. Of course, only a small portion of the factions decided to stay behind. Most of the factions knew the consequences of offending Qin, so they did not dare to stay here. Even if they had to take the risk of crossing the void zones, it would be better than staying here and waiting for death. Zhao Fu did not chase after the majority of the players who had left, as it was too late. Zhao Fu turned his attention to the small portion of the factions that remained in the Forest of Horrors. Before, Zhao Fu had sent out all of his assassins to investigate the player villages. After all, they did not have much to do, so they could carry out this task. After a day or so, Qin's assassins had made some gains. Apart from finding some player villages, they also found that some people from Soldier Alliance had not left yet. Soldier Alliance had been the largest faction in Soldier Forest, but after this incident, they only existed in name. Not only had Soldier Alliance, but the Holy Light Group and some other new factions had also been destroyed. Chapter 533. Because of Wu Qingyang, Soldier Alliance's relationship with Zhao Fu had been quite good when he had established Heaven's Choice. However, as Zhao Fu's status rose to become Qin's representative, their relationship gradually cooled down. Zhao Fu knew that Dong Junhua was one of Wu Qingyang's pursuers, and that Dong Junhua had only given Wu Qingyang some face back then. At first, he thought that he was Wu Qingyang's subordinate and had orders from Wu Qingyang, so he was incredibly polite to Heaven's Choice and did his best to help. Of course, with Qin's strength, there was almost nothing he could do to help him. However, after that meeting, Zhao Fu's status had completely changed. He had most likely heard about something, and he had been listed as one of Wu Qingyang's pursuers. Zhao Fu's attitude towards Heaven's Choice had also changed. Soldier Alliance had joined the resistance against Qin, and Dong Junhua knew that Zhao Fu was Qin's subordinate. Perhaps Zhao Fu would have let them off because of their friendship. However, Zhao Fu's gaze was incredibly cold, and he said to Qin's assassin, "Kill everyone in Soldier Alliance. If any core members remain, feed them a reality fruit and then execute them." Also, not just Soldier Alliance, but all of the factions that participated in the establishment of Heaven's Choice as well. If any core members remain, execute them all. Since they were so heartless, Zhao Fu did not hold back. He killed all of them, as well as their core members. Even though they were all players and of the same race, Zhao Fu did not feel any guilt at all. This was the consequence of offending Qin. If it wasn't for the fact that there were so few reality fruits, Zhao Fu would have executed everyone who had participated and let them experience Qin's cruelty. Yes. Qin's assassin's expression became serious as he obeyed and immediately left. Time passed day by day, and the weather became colder and colder. Almost all of the leaves on the trees had fallen off, and the grass had withered and turned yellow. There was even a layer of frost on the ground. It was already late winter. The weather was getting colder and colder, which forced Qin's army to slow down. Winter was not suitable for marching and fighting. However, Zhao Fu didn't want to stop, because the other side was also in a very difficult situation. Qin's soldiers had high cultivation levels, and they had good protection against the cold. In winter, they had some advantages over ordinary people. On the other hand, Zhao Fu did not want to waste any more time. Time was becoming more and more pressing, and he could not afford to waste so much time. He had to quickly take control of the Forest of Horrors. 4 days later, Li Wen came before Zhao Fu and looked at him. Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile, because Li Wen's appearance meant that he now had enough soldier souls, and Qin was about to obtain another general armament. "Your Highness, here." Li Wen also smiled and handed the soldier soul to Zhao Fu. He knew that Qin really needed it. Zhao Fu took the soldier soul and ordered people to bring Sima Qiu to an empty area. After hearing that they were going to fuse another general armament, everyone else came over to take a look. Zhao Fu quickly fused the 100 soldier souls into 10 divine soldier souls and gave them to Sima Qiu, who looked quite excited. Sima Qiu respectfully received the divine soldier souls and came to the center of the empty area. The 10 divine soldier souls gave off a faint white light and flew into the sky, forming a circle with Simakuo at the center. The 10 orbs of light gave off a blinding white light, and the soldiers within them turned into traces of violet aura. Their auras became more and more powerful, forming a corporeal might in the surroundings. Boom! Suddenly, an explosion sounded out, causing the entire sky to tremble. The 10 massive orbs of light started to resonate with each other, and the traces of violet aura continuously swayed within the orbs of light as a terrifying power exploded out. Immediately, the heavens and earth dimmed, and dark clouds roiled and quickly gathered. A wild gale blew, and countless trees swayed and sand and pebbles were blown into the air. It was as if a disaster had descended. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out in the sky, as if the sky was about to shatter. A violet star giving off brilliant starlight and a boundless aura slowly descended. At that moment, countless espers and espers from the various dynasties were given a big fright. They hurriedly walked out of their rooms and looked towards the north with unsightly expressions. Another general star had returned, and another person from Qin had awakened a general star. This was Qin's 5th general star. Before, only the great Zhou dynasty's Jiang Zia had undone the fate seal, and no one from the other dynasties had done so. This was an incredibly shameful matter. Not only had they lost to Qin in terms of aura and fate, but they had also lost to Qin. This proved that they were inferior to Qin, and all of the dynasty legatees felt quite angry. The heavily injured factions in the northern side of the Midland continent looked at the star in the sky and could only heavily sigh. They were powerless to stop Qin, and they had only recovered a bit from the heavy injuries they had suffered before. They could not threaten Qin at all. Back at Qin, the gigantic violet star gave off a powerful pressure as it slowly descended. Simakuo held the large saber in his hand and pointed it at the sky. With a loud roar, a powerful aura exploded forth, causing the ground to crack. Strands of silver aura continuously flowed out of Simakuo's body. Boom! Silver lightning flashed as a silver pillar of light shot into the sky and entered the violet star. A massive explosion sounded out as the violet star trembled and gradually turned silver. Soon, the violet star in the sky completely turned silver and gave off a bright silver light, giving off a terrifyingly sharp feeling. Arg! Simakuo loudly roared as the veins on his body bulged. Countless traces of blood-red aura exploded out, spreading out like a flood, and the ground continuously collapsed. Rumble, bolts of lightning started to descend from the sky, bringing with them a destructive aura that caused people's hairs to stand on end. Suddenly, the entire sky once again trembled as a silver star and 3 black stars slowly descended. 4 stars had suddenly appeared, and the aura they gave off seemed to be corporeal, pressing down on countless creatures' bodies. Seeing this scene, many people felt quite shocked because this was not an ordinary method of awakening a general star. It was a method that Qin had used once before. The general stars started to fuse together in front of everyone's eyes, and the terrifying aura became more and more intense, causing countless creatures' hairs to stand on end. The lightning in the sky became even more berserk, trying to destroy everything. Terrifying bolts of lightning continuously descended, as if a cultivator was undergoing a tribulation. The lightning's main target was Simakuo, but they were all blocked by the blood-red aura around his body. Chapter 534. This massive blue star gave off an intense blue light that illuminated the ground. The dark clouds in the sky dissipated, and the blue starlight seemed to be incredibly sharp, as if there were countless sharp swords piercing through the sky. This star was one of the 13 general stars, and it was called the Great Gate Star. The Great Gate Star was a general star that had extremely powerful judgment, and it was a cooperative general star. It was incredibly ferocious in battle and would never retreat, and it was a terrifying general star. A blue pillar of starlight descended from the Great Gate Star, and Simakuo, who was within the pillar of starlight, started to change. The blue starlight's power continuously seeped into Sima Qiu, causing his aura to become stronger and stronger. The blood-red aura from before gradually disappeared, and a sharp blue aura continuously spread out from Sima Qiu's body. The blue pillar of starlight gradually became smaller, and the saber in Sima Qiu's hand became a deep blue, making it look like a steel saber. Light flowed around the saber, and the two words Great Gate were engraved on it. The blue pillar of starlight disappeared, and the blue star in the sky also disappeared. The abnormal signs also disappeared, and the surroundings calmed down, leaving behind a scene of devastation. Zhao Fu dispelled his king's domain, and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. He asked for the blue saber and looked at its stats. Because Sima Qiu's saber was legendary grade, this saber's stats were quite good. Great Gate Saber, grade. Epic, stats. Strength plus 30, Intelligence plus 20, Constitution plus 16, Agility plus 16, Description. A legendary grade saber that fused with the Great Gate Star's power to form a general armament, the Great Gate Saber. The Great Gate Saber's attack power was quite high, while Constitution and Agility were relatively low. This was because every general armament's stats were closely related to the general star. At the same time, the Great Gate Saber had 6 stats. The first 5 were General's Power, General's Courage, General's Light, General's Soldier, and a Soldier Aura Formation. Zhao Fu was quite curious about Sima Qiu's Soldier Aura Formation, and he wondered what it would condense. Following this was the Great Gate Saber's 6th stat. Formation Breaking Soldier. Soldiers in this state have extremely high attack power but are slightly weaker in other aspects. They have the ability to break formations, and they can even burn their life force to obtain the Great Gate Star's power. They are incredibly terrifying soldiers. This type of soldier was all focused on attacking, and it could be said that they focused on attacking and destroying. Zhao Fu was quite interested in their ability to break through formations, as there were many military formations and formations in the Heaven Awakened world. Those with the ability to break through formations would be able to counter them. Zhao Fu felt quite satisfied as he returned the Great Gate Saber to Great, and the Qiu generals were all generals and generals. The generals and Gate generals and Saber generals and other generals, and Qiu generals and Star. The other espers and espers looked away, and the various dynasty legatees felt quite furious. They ordered people to find a way to undo the fate. They could not fall behind Great Qin. Back at Qin's army, the indigenous villages were continuously conquered by Qin, and Zhao Fu obtained many people, including outlanders and outlanders. As long as they surrendered, Zhao Fu would take them in and treat them as Qin's subjects. As for the player villages, there were fewer and fewer of them. After Zhao Fu slaughtered the player villages for a few days, the players who had been hoping to get lucky did not dare to stay, and they were forced to move to other regions. Right now, Qin's focus was on clearing out the Forest of Horrors. Zhao Fu did not pay too much attention to the 4 isolation walls, and he had Qin's soldiers continue to clear out the Forest of Horrors. Captain, we've found a small village ahead, and there are roughly 400 people. A soldier smiled as he reported to the other soldier. The captain happily laughed and patted the soldier's shoulder before turning to the soldiers behind him and saying, "Brothers, we've found more prey. If we take down this village, we'll be able to go back and earn military merits." Everyone looked quite excited. In order to motivate the soldiers, Zhao Fu had given them all sorts of rewards. The more they worked, the more rewards they would receive. "Captain, let's hurry up and act," everyone said impatiently. The captain nodded and said, "Let's see if there's any danger in this village before we act." Everyone nodded and quickly went near the village. After looking around, they started to act. Swish, 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 powerful arrows tore through the air, piercing into the bodies of the militiamen. Pained cries sounded out, causing the villagers who were working to be startled, and they quickly rushed back into the village. Charge! Seeing that a wave of arrows had killed dozens of militiamen and that the village had lost most of its fighting strength, the captain immediately gave the order to charge. The other 1,000 soldiers held their weapons and obeyed as they charged towards the village, giving off a ferocious aura. This village only had 400 people, and after the militiamen had been killed, they had almost no fighting strength left. Seeing so many soldiers charge out, they all panicked. The men told the women and children to run while they rushed up with their farming tools. It was a pity that they were killed by Qin's soldiers with a single slash. The 1,000 soldiers quickly surrounded the village, and the villagers looked at the soldiers in fear. Some children were so scared that they started to cry. The captain looked at the 300 or so people in front of him and yelled, "Surrender to Qin, or I'll kill all of you. Don't think that you can resist me, Qin." 100 people had been killed in an instant, and these 100 people were the main fighting force of the village. Once they died, how could the remaining villagers dare to resist? "Sir, don't kill me, I surrender." A skinny young man knelt down in fear. Seeing the ferocious Qin's soldiers, the other villagers knew that if they didn't surrender, they would all be killed. As such, they also knelt down and didn't dare to resist. The captain laughed in satisfaction and said, "Brothers, quickly clean up the battlefield and relocate the village. Let's go back to the city." The other soldiers looked quite happy and looted everything of value before relocating the village and bringing the terrified villagers back to Qin City. "General Sun, we've discovered an advanced village ahead with roughly 5,000 people. It's a Xiongnu village," a soldier respectfully reported to Sun Wu. Sun Wu had been the mayor of a town before, and after submitting to Qin, he had become a general and joined Qin's army. Hearing this, Sun Wu nodded and smiled. If they could take down this advanced village, the rewards would be great, and they would be valued by His Majesty. Perhaps they would even be able to obtain a City Lord seal. Sun Wu immediately gave the order for the other teams to gather. Chapter 535. Outlanders like these had strong battle intents and were able to resist. As such, Zhao Fu had to destroy their confidence in one fell swoop in order to subdue them. Sun Wu thought about it and ordered the 600 soldiers to take off their armor and pretend to be bandit. They would first pretend to attack, and it would be best if they could lure the soldiers out of the village. After that, they would set up an ambush. As long as the soldiers died, the remaining commoners would not be able to resist. After making this decision, Sun Wu started to carry out his plan. The 600 or so soldiers quickly attacked the Xiongnu village, using fire arrows in order to ignite the houses and animal pens. Outlanders raised many livestock, and once they set them on fire, it would be easy to cause chaos. The Xiongnu village quickly reacted, and 1,000 or so Xiongnu soldiers rushed out of the village. Seeing these Xiongnu soldiers, the 600 or so Qin soldiers immediately turned and ran. Outlanders were quite valiant, and they had always been the ones bullying others. As such, when the Xiongnu soldiers saw that the 600 or so bandits had simple equipment and looked quite weak, they were filled with killing intent. They did not want to let them off, and they chased after the Qin soldiers. The 600 or so Qin soldiers quickly ran, and the 1,000 or so Xiongnu soldiers chased after them. Soon, they had lured the 1,000 or so Xiongnu soldiers into an ambush. In actuality, the ambush area was not very far away. Sun Wu was worried that the Xiongnu soldiers would not chase after them, so he set up the ambush area very close. As long as the Xiongnu soldiers charged out of the village, the Qin soldiers would be able to attack them. Fire! As Zhao Fu gave the order, the sound of the air being torn could be heard as countless arrows whistled towards the Xiongnu soldiers. The Xiongnu soldiers, who had been chasing after the Qin soldiers, were caught off guard, and the arrows rained down, killing most of the Xiongnu soldiers. Seeing this scene, the remaining Xiongnu soldiers were so frightened that they immediately turned and ran. However, another wave of arrows rained down, and they all died. Sun Wu also charged. The archers continuously shot fire arrows into the village, igniting countless houses and causing the Xiongnu village to fall into chaos. The cavalrymen were at the vanguard, and they were like spears as they charged into the Xiongnu village and started a massacre. Spears pierced through the chests of the Xiongnu soldiers, causing blood to splatter everywhere. The other soldiers followed behind the cavalry, launching an all-out assault on the Xiongnu soldiers. The Xiongnu used their weapons to resist, but it was to no avail. 3 Xiongnu used their weapons to attack a Qin soldier, but they were all cut in half by a Qin soldier. Most of the Qin soldiers that were gathered here were Stage 1 soldiers. Dealing with these Xiongnu commoners with extremely low cultivation bases, they were basically able to kill them instantly. In fact, even if Sun Wu didn't use any strategy, with the strength of Qin soldiers, they could launch a sudden attack and kill their way into the village. They could easily kill all the Xiongnu. Sun Wu did this because he was following Qin's strategy, which was to achieve victory with the least casualties. The situation of the battle was quickly brought under control. The Han tribe was almost completely massacred, and the 20,000 soldiers easily subdued the high-class Han tribe village. Seeing that the fire was getting bigger and bigger, Sun Wu ordered his men to take the captives and leave the village first to avoid being surrounded by the fire. Outside the village, he started to count the captive. There were 2,723 people in total. It was a good number, but it was a pity that their resources had been destroyed by the fire. However, to be able to bring so many people back, there should be quite a lot of rewards. General Sun, we've captured a very beautiful Xiongnu woman, and she's quite strong. In order to capture her, we even injured a few of our brothers, a soldier excitedly reported to Sun Wu. Sun Wu felt quite interested and said, "Bring that woman over." Following this, a few soldiers brought a woman over to Sun Wu. She was tied up with ropes, and she was indeed quite beautiful. Her skin was the color of wheat, and there were 2 small braids on either side of her face. She furiously glared at Sun Wu, giving off the wildness of an outsider. Seeing this woman, Sun Wu felt quite delighted, and he turned to the soldier who had reported to him and said, "If this woman is beautiful, we can offer her to His Majesty. If she also has Phoenix Chi, we'll all receive additional rewards." Sun Wu's words caused all of the soldiers to feel quite happy. "Hurry and release me, you bunch of bandits!" the Xiongnu woman cursed as she looked at the Qin soldiers around her. Even though she spoke in the Xiongnu language, Sun Wu had already learned the Xiongnu language from the language Stone Steel, so he could understand her. However, Sun Wu didn't mind at all. After all, outsiders like her were the ones who were synonymous with bandit. He gave the order to bring her back, and the group returned to Qin City. General Wang, a soldier in the southwest, has reported that he's discovered a town with 40,000 residents, a soldier reported to Wang Jian. For a gathering place like a town, it required a commander-level figure, who could mobilize hundreds of thousands of Qin's soldiers. Wang Jian nodded and immediately gathered 150,000 Qin soldiers. He then led the 5 generals who had City Lord seals towards the southwest. The other generals who had City Lord seals remained at Qin City and sensed the surroundings in case anything unexpected happened. Qin's army quickly surrounded the town, and the 5 city lords' terrifying auras covered the town, causing the entire town to fall into panic. Wang Jian didn't give the order to attack because with Qin's current strength, he could easily destroy this town. As such, he wanted to force the other side to submit. The mayor of this town was a white and chubby middle-aged man. Looking at the black mass of soldiers below, they gave off an incredibly terrifying aura. What was even more shocking was that most of them were Stage 1 soldiers, and adding on the 5 city lords in the air, they were incredibly powerful. It wasn't just the mayor, everyone in the town was terrified, and they couldn't even muster up the will to resist. "Mayor, What do you think we should do? Let alone the 150,000 soldiers outside, just the 5 city lords in the sky are enough to massacre our town. Let's just surrender. Mayor, we really aren't a match for them. Let's surrender before they attack. Mayor, if you don't surrender, you'll die without a doubt. Even if you don't think about us, you have to think about your family. If you surrender, they might even make you the mayor. Mayor, they're all right, let's surrender. We only have 8,000 soldiers, and our population is only a bit more than 40,000. We have no chance of winning at all. Before Wang Jian could say anything, the people around the mayor all tried to persuade him to surrender. No one said anything about resisting, as Qin could easily crush them to death. They were all aware of reality and didn't want to die for nothing. Chapter 536. Wang Jian confidently looked down at the town and was not in a hurry to attack. He did not say anything and only used his powerful aura to crush the town's will to resist. This powerful aura caused the entire town to feel a sense of pressure, and the air seemed to freeze. The soldiers on the town walls all had sweaty palms as they nervously looked at Qin's soldiers. The other people in the town continued to try to persuade Zhang Xuanfu. In the end, seeing how terrifying Qin's soldiers were, his wife couldn't help but try to persuade him as well. She didn't want her husband and child to die. The pressure from all sides caused Zhang Xuanfu's body to sweat, and his expression was quite unsightly. He felt quite conflicted, and he wanted to surrender. If you surrender, Qin can promise not to kill a single person in the town, and his position will not change. The town mayor is still the town mayor. Wang Jian's voice sounded out in the sky. Even though his voice was not very loud, it was filled with dignity and confidence, and everyone in the town could hear it clearly. This was the final straw that broke Zhang Xuanfu's back. Since Wang Jian had promised that he would still be the town mayor, and he knew that he would definitely lose, Zhang Xuanfu made a decision and yelled, "Of course! I'm willing to surrender." Following this, the town gates opened and the residents put down their weapons. Qin's soldiers flooded into Luan town and officially took control of it. There were countless resources, 10,000 or so pieces of equipment, 80,000 or so silver coins, and most importantly, 41,000 people. Qin didn't suffer any losses this time, yet they had obtained such a great harvest. Adding on the requirement to level up to a great city, His Majesty will definitely be very happy. A trace of a smile appeared on Wang Jian's face as he started to conquer and relocate the town before returning to Qin. Days passed, and Qin's soldiers continuously attacked villages, causing Qin's population to increase, and the area that they controlled became larger and larger. Another 10 or so days passed, and Qin's soldiers had cleared out 1/3 of the Forest of Horrors. After clearing out such a large area, their gains were massive. Qin's population had reached 4 million. Qin's original population had been 3 million, and after 20 days of clearing out, it had increased to 1 million. This included countless villages. Qin now had 926 villages. Among them, Qin had conquered 4 new towns, which already satisfied the requirements to upgrade a great city. Now there was only one small city left, which would satisfy the requirements to upgrade a great city. Apart from the population, Qin also had 800,000 soldiers, and 500,000 of them were Stage 1 soldiers. The remaining 200,000 were not weak either, as they had taken blood god pills and Stage 3 cultivation pills. Qin didn't lack blood god pills. After conquering so many system main cities, he had obtained many Stage 1 corpses, and he still had 100,000 or so corpses that he hadn't used yet. What moved Zhao Fu the most was that Qin now had nearly 10,000 Stage 2 soldiers. With how powerful Stage 2 soldiers were, they could easily defeat 8 or 9 Stage 1 soldiers. Even though there were only 10,000 of them, they were a powerful force. These Stage 2 soldiers were all Qin's veterans, and adding on the Minotaur's corpses from Gloomy Jungle, they could be refined into Stage 2 Blood God pills, which had the same effects as Stage 1 Blood God pills. As such, Qin now had 10,000 Stage 2 soldiers. However, by now, the outer regions of Gloomy Jungle had been completely explored by Qin, and all of the goblins and minotaurs had been killed. Because Zhao Fu hadn't been to the inner regions before, he knew that it was quite dangerous, so he told them not to go too deep. As such, they stopped exploring Gloomy Jungle, and it was possible that they wouldn't be able to provide goblins and minotaurs' corpses to Qin in the future. This made Zhao Fu feel quite disappointed. If Qin could have a large number of Stage 2 soldiers, it would be much safer in the future, and they would have the confidence to face most of the dangers. It was a pity that it would be quite difficult to obtain Stage 2 corpses. Zhao Fu planned to continue exploring Gloomy Jungle when he had time to. Perhaps he would be able to make some unexpected gains. Moreover, Qin had preserved the corpses of the people that Qin had killed, as they would be very useful in the future. Now, Qin had 15 wyverns, and 10 of them could directly participate in battle. However, Zhao Fu felt that there weren't many of them. He had 7 adult wyverns, 4 male and 3 female. Qin was currently helping them mate, but he wouldn't be able to obtain any eggs in a short period of time. These wyverns were all incredibly powerful, and they were the trump cards that Zhao Fu had been hiding. They would explode out in the future and sweep away everything in their path. Moreover, Zhao Fu had found 2 Silver Lake legatees. One of them was called Moni, and she was a Xiongnu woman. Sun Wu had brought her over, and she looked quite barbaric. Back when she had been captured, she had loudly cursed at Zhao Fu, saying that he was a despicable bandit and wanted to challenge him. In response, Zhao Fu had ordered people to release her, and with a wave of his hand, he had heavily injured her. Afterwards, she had become obedient. After all, not only had Zhao Fu defeated her, but he had also captured her family, so she had no choice but to submit. Moni had some phoenix chi, but it was a bit weaker than most women from large families. Xianru had said that taking in more women from other races would help them in battles against other races in the future, so Zhao Fu had decided to make her his. However, he later found that she was quite suitable for the Silver Lake Immortal Legacy. Zhao Fu gave the Silver Lake Immortal Saber to her, and the saber automatically changed into a somewhat strange weapon that was quite suitable for her. The second Silver Lake legatee was a male elf called Joyce. He had been the village chief of a village, but his village had been conquered by Qin, and he had been captured. In the end, he had been forced to surrender. Within Zhao Fu's spatial ring, the Silver Lake Immortal Bow trembled, seeming to want to recognize him as its master. As such, Zhao Fu gave the Silver Lake Immortal Bow to Joyce. The Silver Lake Immortal Bow now only had a shield, spear, sword, axe, and hammer. It would most likely find a master in the future, and Zhao Fu hoped that it would be as soon as possible. Only then would he be able to use the Silver Lake Immortal Bow's power. The weather was becoming colder and colder, and there was even a layer of white frost on the treetops. On that day, Li Wen once again met with Zhao Fu. Seeing Li Wen arrive, Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. It was unlikely that all of the soldier souls had been gathered so quickly. Only after asking did he find out that another tunnel had been opened, and they had found a large bronze door. Zhao Fu felt quite curious, and he went to the tunnel. In front of him was a 10-meter-tall bronze door that gave off a faint light. There were some inscriptions and pictures on it, and they were all unique to the Heaven Murder Empire. Moreover, the bronze door gave off an ancient, powerful, and mysterious aura. This bronze door was incredibly heavy, and Zhao Fu used all of his strength to push it open. He could only use Qin's seal's power to slightly push it open. Chapter 537. This bronze door was simply too heavy. With Zhao Fu's City Lord Seal's power, Even a boulder that weighed over 10,000 kilograms could be easily pushed aside by Zhao Fu. He had never thought that this bronze door would be so difficult to push aside. As such, Zhao Fu exploded out with his City Lord Seal's power. The Qin City Lord Seal within Zhao Fu's body hummed and gave off a large amount of black light that seeped out of Zhao Fu's body, and a terrifying power exploded out from within Zhao Fu's body. Using this power, Zhao Fu placed his hands on the bronze door and pressed his feet against the ground. He gritted his teeth and pushed with all of his strength, and the bronze door once again slowly moved, giving off a muffled sound. Finally, a crack appeared on the bronze door. Immediately, a bone-chilling aura flowed out from the crack, causing everyone's bodies to freeze. They felt as if they had fallen into an icy cavern, and they felt incredibly nervous. Cold sweat continuously covered their bodies, and they instinctively sensed that this was incredibly dangerous. Zhao Fu's expression became serious, and he turned to Li Wen and the others as he said, "You should all leave. This isn't something you can participate in. Also, the other scouting party members should leave as well. Don't stay in this underground region." Li Wen could sense the danger behind the bronze door, so he said, "Your Majesty, it's best that you don't go in. It's better if you don't go in. You might be in danger. Let the few of us explore first." The other soldiers looked at Zhao Fu seriously, hoping that they could go in for Zhao Fu. After all, Zhao Fu was the king of Qin City, and they couldn't allow anything to happen to him. However, Zhao Fu shook his head. They were too weak, and even if they went in, they would be instantly killed and would not be able to obtain anything. Moreover, Zhao Fu was a player and would not die a true death, which was a great advantage. Seeing that they could not persuade Zhao Fu, Li Wen and the others could only leave. They planned to report this matter to the other city lords and have them come to protect Zhao Fu. After they left, Zhao Fu once again looked at the bronze doors. Just from the cold air coming from behind the bronze doors, Zhao Fu could tell that it was quite dangerous. However, Zhao Fu felt that there would be many opportunities. After all, this was something from the Heaven Murder Empire. Although it was dangerous, it was also a great opportunity. With it, Qin could develop faster. Having made up his mind, Zhao Fu continued to use all of his strength. Finally, he managed to push open the bronze door by a foot. A massive amount of cold air gushed out. That terrifying aura caused even his soul to tremble. Zhao Fu turned sideways and entered. It was a pitch-black tunnel, but there was light at the end of the tunnel. There should be something there. Zhao Fu carefully advanced through the pitch-black tunnel and came to a 1,000-meter wide hall. The hall gave off a golden light, and the surface seemed to be covered with a layer of gold. There were also detailed carvings of mountains and rivers, making it look quite exquisite. What shocked Zhao Fu was that there was a dragon lying within the hall. This dragon was 10 or so meters long and looked like a divine dragon. Its entire body was golden, and it gave off a golden light. It had a pair of sharp dragon horns and a pair of wings with golden feathers. It also had 5 claws that gave off a cold light and were incredibly sharp. This dragon gave off a noble, elegant, powerful, and mysterious aura, and it gave off an incredibly dangerous feeling. Zhao Fu recognized this dragon. The king's remnant soul that Zhao Fu had obtained had an image of this dragon, but he had never thought that he would be able to see it with his own eyes. This dragon was most likely the Heaven Murder Empire's fate dragon. Because of the system announcement that he had obtained the king's remnant soul, it meant that the skeleton was either a prince or a princess. As such, killing it would give him a king's remnant soul. The appearance of a fate dragon would be passed down through the king's bloodline, and because it was engraved into the bloodline, those with the Heaven Murder Empire's royal bloodline would have such a fate dragon. Similarly, if Zhao Fu's bloodline was passed down, his descendants would be like Zhao Fu's black dragons. Perhaps it should be said that when Qin Fizi established the Great Qin Empire, this was already destined. However, the dragon in front of him was corporeal and not an image. This made Zhao Fu feel quite surprised because the Heaven Murder Empire had perished a long time ago, and this fate dragon definitely did not exist. Suddenly, just as Zhao Fu was thinking to himself, the golden dragon suddenly opened its eyes, revealing a pair of golden pupils, causing Zhao Fu to feel quite startled. Bang! A massive sound rang out as the golden dragon opened its eyes, and a formless and terrifying energy rushed towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu reacted in time, but he was still sent flying and crashed against a wall. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood, and his chest was now completely blood-red. Zhao Fu's eyes lit up as he looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked quite shocked. He had used his City Lord seal, nation armament, and clan armament's power, but he had still been heavily injured by the golden dragon so easily. This golden dragon's power was simply too terrifying. Right now, he could only release his full power and use his nation armament, clan armament, and City Lord seal, or else he would not be a match for this golden dragon, Zhao Fu thought to himself. However, the golden dragon looked at Zhao Fu arrogantly and condescendingly, and it said in a voice that was hard to tell if it was male or female, "Do you really think that a trashy nation armament from a low-level world can defeat me?" Zhao Fu's gaze became cold as he wiped away the blood at his lips and stood up. "Then who do you think you are? The Heaven Murder Empire was destroyed long ago." Zhao Fu's words seemed to have struck its sore spot, causing it to look furious. Its body flashed with golden light, and a world-destroying aura pressed down towards Zhao Fu. The surrounding space seemed to be unable to withstand it and started to twist and crumble. Zhao Fu's eyes lit up as he looked at Zhao Fu. Facing this terrifying power, Zhao Fu did not dare to attack Qin at all. He used all of his strength to unleash his king's domain, and a black barrier with dragon inscriptions appeared around Zhao Fu's body, blocking that terrifying might. The golden dragon's golden pupils stared at Zhao Fu as it stood up and gave off an even more terrifying might. Gotcha! Suddenly, a clear sound rang out, causing Zhao Fu to feel quite startled because a crack had appeared in his king's domain. This caused Zhao Fu's expression to become quite unsightly, and he circulated his clan armament and nation armament's power, sending massive amounts of power into Zhao Fu's domain, making it difficult for him to defend against that might. The golden dragon coldly harumphed, saying, "I already said that a trashy nation armament from a low-level world like yours cannot defeat me. Back then, I destroyed so many of them." As the golden dragon spoke, the might that it gave off became more and more powerful, and it was now 10 or so times stronger than before. Under such immense might, Zhao Fu's king's domain was covered with cracks, and it looked like it was about to shatter. Chapter 538. However, after thinking about it, Zhao Fu realized that if he died, his cultivation and skills would be reset. His king's profession and bloodline were bound to his soul, so he wouldn't lose them. Moreover, even though the underground region was near Qin City, it wouldn't be able to harm Qin City because the city was protected by the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon. No matter how strong the Golden Dragon was, it wouldn't be stronger than the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon. After all, the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon was this world's guardian beast, and its power definitely surpassed the Golden Dragon's, so Zhao Fu didn't have to worry about Qin City's safety. Looking at the cracking king's domain, Zhao Fu made up his mind to fight with the Golden Dragon. However, a black symbol suddenly appeared on the back of Zhao Fu's right hand, giving off a rainbow-colored light. Immediately, Zhao Fu felt a wave of power flow into him, and facing that terrifying might, he didn't feel anything at all. That symbol was the Earth Realm Mark. Looking at the Earth Realm Mark, the Golden Dragon's expression fell, and it hesitated before withdrawing its terrifying aura. It said in surprise, "I never thought that you'd be someone with Heaven's mandate." Seeing the Golden Dragon withdraw its aura, Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief, but he didn't reply. The Golden Dragon didn't mind, and it continued to look at Zhao Fu as it said, How about we work together? Don't worry, it'll be of great benefit to you. If it wasn't for the fact that I had no other choice, I wouldn't have chosen to work together with someone from such a low-level world. Zhao Fu didn't even think about it and immediately refused. Apologies. I'm not interested. This was because the Golden Dragon was simply too dangerous, and Zhao Fu couldn't control it. Moreover, Zhao Fu didn't want to work together with the Heaven Murder Empire because he was worried about its enemies. If such a powerful Heaven Murder Empire had been destroyed, that meant that their enemies were even more terrifying. Moreover, Zhao Fu couldn't stand the Golden Dragon's arrogant tone. As he had obtained the information from the demonic god, Zhao Fu was aware of his own strength. The other party was not wrong. But even so, Qin wouldn't accept this humiliation. Zhao Fu believed that Qin would surpass the Heaven Murder Empire one day. Oh? Don't you want the things left behind by the Heaven Murder Empire? That's more than enough for you to dominate the world, the Golden Dragon said, somewhat surprised. However, Zhao Fu still said firmly, no matter how good the item is, I don't want to cooperate with you. Even without those things, I, Qin, can still dominate the world. You, believe it or not, I will kill you right now, Qin. The Golden Dragon looked furious. It had already taken a step back, but this person did not appreciate it and refused to cooperate with it. If the Heaven Murder Empire was at its peak, it would not even look at such a person, and yet he dared to refuse to cooperate with it. Hearing its words, Zhao Fu was not very angry, as he wanted to take this opportunity to get rid of the Golden Dragon. Qin City was protected by the Sky Desolation Azure Dragon, so Zhao Fu was not afraid of the Golden Dragon. You can give it a try, Zhao Fu said in a mocking tone. Hearing this, the Golden Dragon once again became furious and exploded out with a heaven-toppling might, preparing to rush to the ground and start a massacre. However, when he sensed Zhao Fu's sneer, he suddenly retracted his aura and stared at Zhao Fu with his golden eyes. Brat! I won't fall for your trick. Zhao Fu felt a bit disappointed and lightly harumphed. He ignored the Golden Dragon and thought about how to leave this place first. Even though he would not truly die and would not lose his profession and bloodline, his equipment, the 4 swords at his waist, and the Emperor's armament in his hands would all fall here. With how powerful the Golden Dragon was, it would be almost impossible to retrieve them. Zhao Fu did not want to recultivate, so if he could escape, it would be best if he could. Zhao Fu wondered if there were any restrictions here and why the Golden Dragon would stay here. With how terrifying the Golden Dragon was, it would be able to wreak havoc in this world. Also, with how powerful the Golden Dragon was, why would it suddenly want to cooperate with him? Thinking back to how the Golden Dragon had retracted his aura, Zhao Fu felt that something was off. The Golden Dragon once again said seriously, "You've obtained the Heaven and Earth refining formation, right? Do you think they'll let you off? They all have different heaven-defying formations. Do you think you can defeat them? What a joke. Once they discover that the Heaven Murder Empire's ruins are here, let alone you, Qin, even your entire world will be slaughtered." Zhao Fu's expression became quite unsightly because Zhao Fu understood what the Golden Dragon was saying. This was what Zhao Fu was most worried about. Looking at Zhao Fu's unsightly expression, the Golden Dragon inwardly laughed before saying, "Right now, you can only cooperate with me. Otherwise, you should know what the consequences will be." The Golden Dragon continued to stare at Zhao Fu, feeling quite pleased. From how it saw it, cooperating with Zhao Fu was the best solution, and it was Zhao Fu's only choice. Right now, this person in front of it had to submit. Zhao Fu's blood-red eyes stared at the Golden Dragon, and he suddenly coldly harumphed. "Even if I, Qin, am destroyed, do you think they'll let you off? At most, we'll all die together. Don't use such a threatening tone." By now, Zhao Fu already had a plan. In actuality, he wasn't sure if the factions that had destroyed the Heaven Murder Empire still existed. After all, tens of thousands of years had passed, and in the long river of history, anything could happen. Even powerful countries could be destroyed. They are powerful, but are there no existences stronger than them? Or perhaps there won't be a civil war between them. Perhaps there won't be a civil war between them. Moreover, Zhao Fu heard some information from the Golden Dragon. The factions that had destroyed the Heaven Murder Empire all had different heaven-defying formations, which was quite shocking. After all, the Heaven and Earth refining formation was just one of the heaven-defying formations. At first, the Golden Dragon was quite angry after hearing Zhao Fu's words, but as he thought about it, his anger disappeared and his attitude became better. He no longer looked down on Zhao Fu and said, "All right, I respect you and see you as a collaborator. I respect you and see you as a collaborator. You can agree to cooperate with me now, right?" Only now did Zhao Fu feel quite satisfied with its attitude, and he nodded, indicating that he was willing to cooperate with it. In actuality, there was nothing Zhao Fu could do. After all, Zhao Fu was worried that Qin would be destroyed, and if he cooperated with it, he would be able to obtain many benefits. With the Heaven Murder Empire's status, even an ordinary treasure would be of great help to Qin. After all, Qin hadn't even been established yet, and it was pitifully weak. It couldn't compare to the Heaven Murder Empire at all. Seeing that Zhao Fu had agreed, the Golden Dragon let out a sigh of relief. Without Zhao Fu's help, it would have been very difficult for it to do these things. Zhao Fu asked, "What do you need me to do for you?" Chapter 539. This time, Zhao Fu had to think about it. Finding the Heaven Murder Empire's imperial family wasn't a big deal, but restoring the Heaven Murder Empire was incredibly dangerous. The Heaven Murder Empire was simply too powerful, and Zhao Fu didn't want to nurture such a powerful enemy. After all, it was very likely that he would suffer a backlash, which would put Qin in danger. As such, Zhao Fu had to think about it carefully. However, Zhao Fu didn't directly refuse, and he instead asked the Golden Dragon, "What will I get in return?" "This. I don't have anything for now," the Golden Dragon replied after hesitating for a moment. Zhao Fu was infuriated. He didn't have anything, yet the Golden Dragon wanted him to help restore the Heaven Murder Empire. Did he think that he was an idiot? The Golden Dragon could tell what Zhao Fu was thinking and hurriedly said, "I can help you get rid of all of your enemies, but my power will decrease every time I use it. Also, I can tell you that the Heaven Murder Empire has all sorts of secret technique. With how powerful the Heaven Murder Empire is, they have countless secret techniques, and all of them are incredibly powerful. This will be of great benefit to you." Hearing its words, Zhao Fu inwardly cursed. He had been scared by it. It turned out that it didn't have much power, and it would decrease every time it used it. No wonder it hadn't directly attacked, and had instead used its might to suppress him. "Do you really think that I'll take the risk to restore the Heaven Murder Empire with your power and benefits? If you want to find the Heaven Murder Empire's imperial family, I can agree, but I can't restore the Heaven Murder Empire. Not only is it dangerous, but it's also incredibly difficult." Zhao Fu told the Golden Dragon what he was thinking. The Qin Empire hadn't been restored yet, so how could he restore the Heaven Murder Empire? The Golden Dragon's aura weakened, and it understood what Zhao Fu was worried about. As such, it took a step back and said, "I can give you the Heaven Murder Empire's imperial bloodline, which will make you one of the Heaven Murder Empire's legatees. Even though there's nothing here, the Heaven Murder Empire left behind many things outside. Although my strength isn't even 1,000th of what it used to be, it's still one of the most terrifying existences in the land of inheritance. Right now, I don't need you to restore your empire, but you must find the Heaven Murder Empire's imperial family and make them your main bloodline." This put Zhao Fu in a difficult position. If Qin was restored, the legitimate bloodline of the royal family should belong to the Ying family. Although Zhao Fu was originally a collateral bloodline, he still belonged to the Ying family. This was a fact that could not be changed, because Qin only belonged to the Ying family, and outsiders could not get him. Now that the Golden Dragon had given him the Heaven Murder Empire's royal bloodline and made him one of the legatees, this meant that he was bound to the Heaven Murder Empire. If they lived, they lived. If they died, they died. Moreover, making the Heaven Murder Empire part of the royal family didn't feel too good either. It would be like fusing Qin and the Heaven Murder Empire together. However, if he refused, he would definitely die here. With how powerful the Golden Dragon was, he would definitely be able to do this. Zhao Fu also wanted the things left behind by the Heaven Murder Empire, as they were incredibly important to Qin. At the very least, after the Heaven Awakened world devoured the real world, it would be able to establish itself in this world. If he was an ordinary player, he would definitely develop the Heaven Murder Empire's royal bloodline. However, now that he was Qin's legatee, Zhao Fu felt quite hesitant. However, once Zhao Fu thought about it, if the Golden Dragon found someone else, he would be nurturing a terrifying enemy. Moreover, he was not a match for the Golden Dragon and would not be able to stop him. In the end, Zhao Fu made his decision and agreed to the Golden Dragon. The Golden Dragon let out a sigh of relief and smiled as he said, "Don't worry. The benefits you'll receive will be far greater than you can imagine." Zhao Fu understood and nodded. In actuality, there was nothing he could do, as the pressure was simply too great. Not only did he have to face the various dynasty legatees, but he also had to face countless players, as well as the disaster that would occur after the Heaven Awakened world devoured the real world. Because of the demon god's information, Zhao Fu knew how dangerous it would be. In any case, countless races would perish on Earth, and even if they did not die, they would become slaves and struggle at death's door. Zhao Fu had no intention of saving the world, but he could definitely guarantee Qin's safety. "Then stand in front of me with your hands open and accept the bloodline I'll give you," the Golden Dragon said. Zhao Fu nodded and came in front of the Golden Dragon and opened his hands. The Golden Dragon's expression became serious, and he lightly flapped the golden wings on his back, causing a light wind to spread out. The Golden Dragon's body flew off the ground, and his body gave off a brilliant golden light as a powerful aura spread out. The Golden Dragon's golden eyes looked at Zhao Fu before turning into a large orb of golden light and entering Zhao Fu's body. Immediately, Zhao Fu felt an unimaginable thing enter his body, and the golden light completely passed through his body, causing Zhao Fu's body to give off boundless light. Arg! Zhao Fu felt as if something was about to explode out from within his body, and he howled in pain. Boom! A shocking explosion sounded out as a golden light shot into the sky, seeming to pierce through the sky and causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Immediately, the clouds split apart and the sun and moon dimmed. It was not just China, but the fate dragons within the legatees' bodies all over the world gave an unwilling and furious roar. Tens of thousands of dragons roared, shaking the heavens and earth. The countless legatees were given a big fright, not knowing what was going on or why their fate dragons would roar uncontrollably. They sensed something and hurriedly rushed out of their houses, looking at the golden pillar in the distance. C.G. Di Wutian, Ji Shinming, the Roman Empire's legatee, the Arab kingdom's legatee. Their expressions all became quite unsightly because they were once again in a familiar direction. They did not know what Great Qin, which had been peaceful for a while, had done to make their fate dragons so uneasy. After receiving Li Wen's notice, Qin City's city lords had all flown over. However, the massive impact from the golden light sent them flying like leaves being swept away by the autumn wind. It was not just them within 100 kilometers of the golden pillar, no matter if it was boulders, trees, peaks, or mountains, they were all flattened. The city lords all looked incredibly shocked, not knowing what was going on. Even with their current strength, they were unable to get close. Facing the tens of thousands of dragons' roars and countless people's terror, the sky gradually became dyed golden, and rays of golden light lightly fell to the ground. Golden feathers slowly floated down from the sky, seeming to be filled with holiness, dignity, and beauty. Chapter 540. Roar! At that moment, a dragon's roar tore through the heavens, bringing with it a thunderous aura that suppressed the 10,000 dragons' roars. The 10,000 dragons' auras were instantly suppressed, and the terrifying dragon's roar turned into a corporeal shockwave that swept through everything. Chi, 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 countless fate dragons howled, and it wasn't just the legatees who were affected. Everyone who had great fate, such as the Heavenly Sword City's legatee, Little Sun's demon concubine, and Gu Qingyang, felt a formless energy hit them, and they flew back and coughed up a mouthful of blood. This dragon's roar was incredibly terrifying, and it caused the heavens and earth to dim. In the northern sky, the sky desolation azure dragon suddenly opened its eyes, and the other existences in the depths of the eastern sea, the flames in the west, and the forests in the south all opened their eyes. In fact, some people outside the Legacy Land seemed to hear the dragon's roar and looked over. A golden dragon's image circled in the sky, and it looked just like the golden dragon from before. It had a pair of golden wings, a pair of sharp horns, and a pair of golden eyes, and it gave off a noble and mysterious aura. The golden dragon flew in the sky, and its golden eyes were incredibly sharp, as if it could see the entire world. It flapped its golden wings, giving off intense golden light, and a wild gale blew out. Heaven and earth fate madly gathered, and everyone else could see it with the naked eye. Countless legatees and people with great fate felt as if they were grabbed by a massive, formless hand into the air. They looked incredibly shocked because they felt that their fate was being forcefully stolen. It was not just them. Fate continuously rose up from the ground and floated towards Great Qin from all regions, or rather, all over the world, forcefully stealing heaven and earth's fate. Countless espers and espers looked incredibly shocked, and their bodies uncontrollably trembled. Was this something that Qin could do? That's impossible, as even gods couldn't steal heaven and earth's fate like this. This sort of method harmed other people's foundations and destroyed heaven and earth's fate, causing fate to be added to one's body and giving them boundless power. Also, although the direction of the golden pillar was in the direction of Qin, there was no aura of Qin at all. Instead, there was a brand new aura, full of death, slaughter, destruction, and annihilation. Taoism, Confucianism, Buddhism, the Vatican, wizards, Islam, the faces of countless headmasters became extremely unsightly, because this didn't belong to Qin. It didn't even belong to the earth. It was some other unknown place. Quick! Stop it, or else the entire world will be heavily damaged. Cries sounded out, causing countless people to hurriedly move. Looking at the golden pillar of light, Xianru's expression became quite unsightly. She didn't know what had happened, but she hoped that Zhao Fu would be fine. As more and more fate madly gathered, the light that the golden dragon gave off became stronger and stronger. It was so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. It was as if a golden sun had appeared in the sky, shining with boundless golden light. Its terrifying aura was also incredibly shocking. Within the golden pillar of light, Zhao Fu's body was also changing. The golden light kept seeping into Zhao Fu's body, causing his flesh and bones to undergo unknown transformations. Boom! 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 Massive explosions sounded out in the sky as terrifying auras exploded out, shaking the entire heavens and earth. Massive chains giving off different colored lights shot out from all over the world, giving off terrifying power as they shot towards the golden dragon. Countless factions tried to use the same method they had used to deal with the Chaos Imperial Star to stop the unknown Fate Dragon from continuously devouring fate. Boom! Boom! Boom, more explosions sounded out as the dynasty legatees no longer cared about fate and unleashed their nation armaments. Powerful waves of power tore through the sky. If they didn't unleash their full power, all of their fate would be forcefully taken. Countless chains containing terrifying sealing power tightly bound the Golden Dragon, and the power from the nation armaments madly suppressed the Golden Dragon's power. With so much power exploding out, the entire heaven-awakened world seemed to dim. Wild gales continuously blew out, and cracks appeared on the ground. A terrifying aura spread out, and countless beasts ran in all directions. It was as if a catastrophe had descended. Blood leaked out of the sect masters' mouths as they did their best to stop the fate dragon from devouring the human world's fate. The dynasty legatees gritted their teeth and did their best to suppress the Golden Dragon's power. In the sky, the Golden Dragon was bound by the countless chains, and its power was suppressed by the countless nation armaments. The golden light around its body continuously dimmed, and the madly gathering fate also gradually weakened. Seeing this, countless people let out a sigh of relief. It seemed that they had successfully suppressed the fate dragon. The human world's fate could not be taken by the outside world, or else it would be a great loss to the human world. Why did the fate dragon from the outside world appear here, and why did it just happen to appear in the direction of the Qin state? What kingdom's fate dragon was it, and how could it have such terrifying power? They did not know, and they just wanted to seal this fate dragon to prevent it from harming the human world again. Outside the Legacy Land, a few people looked at the rainbow-colored barrier with serious expressions. Sensing the terrifying ripples coming from within, they felt incredibly shocked. Just what was going on inside? Why were there such terrifying ripples? They could even see through the heaven domain boundary. However, without even thinking about it, they knew that something terrifying had happened, or else there would not be such terrifying ripples. Sensing these ripples, they could not help but change their original thoughts and reconsider. Countless people in the heaven-awakened world were affected by this ripple, and they felt incredibly terrified after sensing that terrifying power. It was not something they could resist at all. The countless city lords stood in the air with serious expressions as they looked in the direction of the Qin state. Seeing the countless chains in the sky, they understood how terrifying this matter was. If it wasn't for the otherworlders stopping them, they would not have been able to stop the loss of fate at all. The golden light around the Golden Dragon's body became smaller and smaller, and the terrifying aura it gave off became weaker and weaker. The madly flowing fate gradually calmed down. The generals and residents of the Qin state all let out sighs of relief. They did not know what was going on, nor did they sense that this had anything to do with their majesty. This was because the fate dragon gave off a large amount of the outside world's aura, which they could clearly sense. As such, they did not think that it had anything to do with their majesty, and they hoped that things would calm down. After all, the power that the Golden Dragon gave off was simply too terrifying. Even Qin's 10 or so wyverns obediently lay on the ground and trembled. They no longer looked as wild and powerful as they usually did, and they now looked like obedient pets. Even the powerful wyverns were like this, let alone the ordinary people. Seeing this, the countless sect leaders and nation legacies didn't waste any time and decided to quickly seal it. A bunch of ants. Chapter 541. Even though the Golden Dragon was bound by the countless chains, its expression did not change at all. Facing this world's methods, it was completely disdainful. Moreover, the power of those nation armaments was pitifully weak. Roar! The Golden Dragon gave a vigorous dragon's roar and spread its golden wings, causing a brilliant golden wave of light to spread out, instantly tearing through the sky. Clang, 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 countless chains were destroyed, and countless nation armaments gave off mournful cries as they were struck. Countless people's expressions fell. They had never thought that with so many people and so many nation armaments, they would still be unable to resist the fate dragon. Just what kind of existence was this fate dragon? Why did it have such terrifying power? Boom! The golden dragon was no longer bound, and it gave off a massive amount of power, causing the fate to madly gather and flood in. As the fate madly gathered, the golden light that the golden dragon gave off became brighter and brighter, and within the golden pillar of light, Zhao Fu's body seemed to become transparent. His flesh and bones gave off golden light, making him look like a golden glass, looking incredibly beautiful. Still not enough. Since you're seeking death, I'll start with you. The cold voice that sounded like heavenly might continued to sound out, causing countless people to feel a chill in their hearts. Their bodies sank down as if there was a massive boulder weighing down on them, and the air became incredibly heavy. Arg, the school of Taoism, the school of Confucianism, the school of Moism, the Buddhist sect, the sorcerer sect, the Yith sect, the ancient orchid sect, the Mani sect, countless sect masters' bodies were pierced by the golden dragon's claws, causing them to cry out as blood flew everywhere. The sect masters' faces fell, and they wept in grief as they rushed up. However, the golden dragon's claws did not care about them, and it continued to hold fresh hearts before disappearing, leaving behind the corpses of sect masters. Zhao Fu's body floated into the air from the ground, right in front of the golden dragon. Hearts appeared around him before exploding and turning into a blood-red mist. Under the golden dragon's control, the blood-red mist formed a blood-red magic formation. This blood-red magic formation had many runes, all of which were the Heaven Murder Empire's runes, and each of them represented immense power. At the center of the blood-red spell formation, Zhao Fu's soul was absorbing the power of the blood-red spell formation and transforming bit by bit. Seeing this, the golden dragon gave a trace of a smile before looking at the countless legatees and saying, "With your bloodlines joining, the Heaven Murder bloodline will become even stronger, so all of you can die." Dragon hands suddenly appeared, grabbing towards the countless dynasty legatees. Facing these dragon hands, the power they gave off caused the countless dynasty legatees to feel terror. Boom, 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 boom. When all the legatees were killed, four towering auras exploded out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. It was as if the heavens and earth could not withstand this pressure. The north was shrouded by a green light, the south by a green light, the east by a white light, and the west by a fiery light. The four types of light filled the entire world, and everyone felt their bodies relax. The terrifying might seem to disappear, and the dragon hands that were attacking the dynasty legatees were all blocked by the various types of light. The golden dragon's expression fell as he understood something. He knew much more than ordinary people, and he knew that it was the guardian beasts who had stopped him. The golden dragon unwillingly roared. Boom! However, a ray of light shot out from each of the four directions. The four rays of light contained immense power and were incredibly fast as they tore through the sky. Everywhere they passed, time and space collapsed and turned into nothingness. The four guardian beasts not only stopped him, but they also wanted to attack the golden dragon together. However, with the golden dragon's monstrous power, it should not have appeared in the Legacy Land, as it could destroy the world at any moment. Facing the four rays of light, the golden dragon's expression became incredibly unsightly, and he spread his golden wings and released a massive golden energy barrier. Boom! The four rays of light slammed against the golden energy barrier with terrifying power, resulting in a shocking explosion. The shockwave turned into a wild gale that swept through the entire forest of horrors. Cracks appeared on the golden energy barrier, but the four rays of light's power did not disappear. The golden dragon felt quite startled with its current power. It was indeed not a match for the guardian beast. It was already quite difficult for it to defeat a single guardian beast, let alone four of them working together. Roar! The golden dragon was quite furious. If it had its full power, it would be able to easily kill these guardian beasts, but it did not have the power to do so. Could it be that it would be destroyed by the four guardian beasts? The golden dragon was quite unwilling to accept this, and its body gave off a large amount of golden light that entered the energy barrier in an attempt to resist. However, it was still not a match for the guardian beast's power. Bang! The golden energy barrier shattered, and the 4 rays of light broke through it and continued towards the golden dragon. Just as the golden dragon was about to be hit, Zhao Fu, who was at the center of the blood-red magic formation, suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a pair of blood-red pupils. He stretched out his right hand, and the Earth Realm mark on the back of his hand gave off a rainbow-colored light that shot into the golden dragon's body. The golden dragon's body trembled and exploded out with a rainbow-colored light. The 4 rays of light instantly turned into motes of light and dissipated, not dealing any damage to the golden dragon. The golden dragon let out a sigh of relief and looked at Zhao Fu as he said, "Thank you." With the 4 guardian beasts' power, even though they could not kill the golden dragon, they could heavily injure it and weaken it so that it could only fall into a deep sleep. The golden dragon did not want that, so it was quite grateful that Zhao Fu had saved it. The 4 guardian beasts did not attack again, and the 4 rays of light gradually disappeared. Firstly, it was no longer the fate dragon of the outside world. Zhao Fu had successfully converted the heaven murder bloodline, so this golden dragon now belonged to Qin and had fused into the human world. Secondly, the golden dragon's power was now incredibly weak, and it would not be as powerful as before, nor would it be able to destroy the heavens and earth. Since it now belonged to the human world and could not pose much of a threat or continue to destroy the heavens and earth, the neutral guardian beasts could only stop. After all, it was a good thing for the golden dragon to fuse into the human world. As guardian beasts, they knew what would happen in the future. If the golden dragon joined, the human world's strength would greatly increase. If it wasn't for the fact that the golden dragon had wanted to wipe out all of the nation legacies, they would not have acted. At that moment, a rune appeared in Zhao Fu's soul. This rune gave off a dense blood-red light and seemed to give off an incredibly dense stench of blood. This rune looked like the word "sure" and gave off a pure aura of slaughter, destruction, and destruction. Zhao Fu smiled at the golden dragon and said, "I never thought that the heaven murder bloodline would be born like this." Xianru and the others looked quite shocked. They had never thought that this matter would be related to their majesty. Chapter 542. Roar! A massive and domineering dragon's roar sounded out in all directions, causing everyone, who had thought that things had calmed down, to once again feel quite shocked. This dragon's roar was filled with domineeringness and might, and they were all familiar with its aura. Why has Qin come out at this time? No one could guess what Qin was thinking, but with their understanding of Qin, it definitely wasn't anything good. However, the outer domain dragon had most likely been caught up in the shockwaves, so Great Qin's legatee had most likely been caught up in the shockwaves as well. Facing such a terrifying power, they just wanted things to calm down, but Great Qin had interfered. This caused countless people to feel incredibly furious, and they cursed, "This Qin is too arrogant." With that kind of power, let alone one Qin, even 10 Qins would be destroyed. If you want to die, don't drag them down with you. The legatees were completely frightened by the golden dragon. If it wasn't for the unknown power stopping them, they would have all been killed. That sort of power was incredibly terrifying. What they didn't know was that the golden dragon now belonged to Qin's dragon. Back at Qin City, the domineering black dragon came out of Zhao Fu's body and circled in the sky, giving off a massive aura. The black dragon also stared at the golden dragon, but it didn't show much enmity. After all, they both belonged to Zhao Fu's fate dragons. Facing the black dragon's gaze, the golden dragon didn't mind and continued to hover in the air. At that moment, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and summoned the Qin seal before lightly yelling, "In the name of Qin's emperor, I order the state of Qin's fate to gather." As Zhao Fu gave the order, Traces of dragon-like black aura rose up from the ground of the Forest of Horrors and quickly gathered in the sky. Qin City's city heart continuously trembled and gave off massive waves of fate that gathered in the sky. Traces of black aura rose up from Qin City's residents' bodies and floated into the sky. As more and more fate gathered, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand towards the golden dragon and vigorously pushed it forwards. Boom! An explosion sounded out as countless traces of Qin's fate madly flowed into the golden dragon's body. The golden dragon quickly absorbed the countless traces of Qin's fate because it was now truly becoming Qin's fate dragon. Roar! Countless traces of Qin's fate flowed into the golden dragon, causing it to feel a wave of power erupt forth, and it gave off a dragon's roar that shook the heavens. A massive pillar of black light rushed into the clouds, once again shaking the heavens and earth. Countless dark clouds quickly gathered, forming an enormous vortex that gave off a shocking sense of pressure. Damn it! As expected, Qin had caused trouble again. Sensing the fate dragons within their bodies becoming restless, as well as the terrifying ripples in the distance, the countless legatees were infuriated. Qin was a scourge. Even though countless sect masters had died, countless espers and espers were still alive. They were different from the legatees because they could sense the changes within the golden dragon, and they all looked incredibly shocked. This outer domain dragon was actually turning into Qin's fate dragon. Within the massive pillar of black light, the golden dragon seemed to go through some changes, and its golden eyes became pure black. At that moment, Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and aimed it at the black dragon next to him. The runes within his soul gave off a terrifying power, and a golden ray of light shot out from Zhao Fu's palm towards the black dragon. After being hit by the golden ray of light, the black dragon felt a wave of power explode out. Boom! Another massive explosion sounded out as a golden pillar of light rushed into the sky, tearing apart the clouds. The terrifying power once again caused the dark clouds to gather, forming another massive vortex. Two enormous pillars of light stood between the heavens and the earth. The two enormous vortexes of dark clouds in the sky grew larger and larger, and the pressure they gave off also grew stronger and stronger. Wild winds howled in all directions, sweeping up countless boulders and trees into the sky. The terrifying ripples caused the winds and clouds to howl, causing countless people to feel incredibly shocked. Dark clouds covered the entire heaven-awakened world, and lightning started to descend as torrential rain started to fall. Only now did everyone realize that the matter with the golden dragon had been caused by Qin, as the golden dragon now belonged to Qin. Now that Qin had fused such a powerful fate dragon into Qin's body, that terrifying power caused countless people to retreat and collapse to the ground. The countless fate dragons no longer dared to roar and could only whimper. Countless espers and espers' faces became pale. They had thought that this had nothing to do with Qin, but in the end it had been caused by Qin. If this terrifying fate dragon joined in, Qin would go through heaven-toppling changes, and his position as number one would be unshakable. Seeing this, Xianru and the others understood that their majesty had obtained another fortuitous encounter. The black dragon within the golden pillar of light also underwent the same change. Its originally pitch-black eyes also became pure gold. The two pillars of light gradually weakened, and the two vortexes' power also gradually weakened. Finally, the abnormal signs disappeared, and the heavens and earth became calm again. Now, the golden dragon had completely fused into Qin's body. There were not many changes to the golden dragon and black dragon, but their eyes had changed. The golden dragon's golden pupils had become black, and the black dragon's jet-black eyes had become golden. This fusion had used up a large amount of Qin's fate, but Zhao Fu felt that it was worth it. With the golden dragon joining in, Qin's fate's purity and foundation's firmness had been greatly increased. Zhao Fu waved his hand, and the golden dragon and black dragon turned into two rays of light that entered Zhao Fu's body. Moreover, Zhao Fu had never thought that the heaven murder bloodline would become so powerful after sacrificing countless amounts of fate. Before, the Golden Dragon had given a trace of the purest bloodline to Zhao Fu, and it had used a large amount of fate to continuously increase the bloodline's power. Now, Zhao Fu's heaven murder bloodline was incredibly pure, and it could be said that it was the true bloodline of the heaven murder empire. Even though Zhao Fu also had Qin's bloodline, the purity of these two bloodlines was not affected at all, and they were both incredibly pure. However, Zhao Fu still stood on Qin's side, even though he had two bloodlines. This was because Qin's bloodline was innate, and it had a high degree of approval, while the heaven murder bloodline was fused through other methods, so it did not have a high degree of approval. What was also worth mentioning was that Zhao Fu's bloodline had reached level 16, which was a true sovereign bloodline. Before, Zhao Fu had a royal bloodline which was level 12. Now that he had fused with the heaven murder bloodline, Zhao Fu's bloodline had surpassed the royal grade and reached the terrifying sovereign grade. Chapter 543. A sovereign bloodline was a bloodline that could only be obtained after establishing an empire, and it was a height that ordinary kings could not reach. It could be seen how difficult it was to obtain a sovereign bloodline. Of course, ordinary king bloodlines could not compare to a sovereign bloodline. Now that Zhao Fu had a sovereign bloodline, all of his stats had been greatly increased. However, Zhao Fu was not too happy because the Golden Dragon had said that even the lowest bloodline of the Heaven Murder Empire's imperial family was a sovereign bloodline. Zhao Fu could not imagine just how powerful the Heaven Murder Empire was. However, above a sovereign bloodline was an origin bloodline, and above an origin bloodline, he wondered what other bloodlines there were. Zhao Fu put the two dragons back into his body and looked at Xianru and the others before flying off. Xianru and the other generals smiled as they said to Zhao Fu, "Congratulations, Your Majesty. You have obtained such great fortune." Zhao Fu smiled. This was just a small interlude. After leading everyone back, Qin's gaze was still on clearing out the forest of horrors. This matter quickly spread to the real world. The sect masters who had died were incredibly weak, and after hearing the reports from their disciples, they let out sighs of relief. They had been killed before they had even seen the outcome of this matter, and they had been worried that the human world's fate would be taken away by the outer domains. If that happened, the entire human world would be heavily damaged. Even though Qin was savage, licentious, and bloodthirsty, he was still a member of the human world. As long as he did not lose his fate, everything was fine. As such, they let out sighs of relief. After hearing that Qin had such a powerful golden dragon, others shamelessly ran to the Ying family to ask for peace. They had personally seen the golden dragon's power, and it was enough to destroy everything. This was enough for Qin to not fall. In response to these people's arrival, the Ying family directly chased them away, and did not give them any face. Last time, when Qin suffered a little loss, these people ran away in confusion. Now, they were shamelessly running over. If Qin suffered a loss again, these people would probably run away again. On the other hand, the few people who had stayed last time were incredibly happy. They had placed all of their bets on Great Qin, and now that Great Qin had accepted them, all they had to do was integrate into Great Qin. The more powerful Great Qin became, the happier they would be. The families who had sent the women to the Ying family all smiled. They believed that Qin had the potential. Normally, they just kept quiet. Some of the people who opposed to befriending Qin at the beginning had completely disappeared. Other famous families on the Ancient Beauties list also planned to send their women to the Ying family. They understood that the Ying family would definitely not accept ordinary women. However, if it was a woman on the Ancient Beauties list, the Ying family would definitely accept her. After all, His Highness could not live without a woman. His licentious ways were known to the whole world. If Zhao Fu knew what they were thinking, how would Zhao Fu feel? He would definitely feel very wronged. In a secret room, Mei Xiaoyan stood in front of a woman who was more flirtatious than her. This woman was, of course, the saintess of the White Lotus Society. It was the right choice to cooperate with Qin this time. We can use Qin's power to take revenge on the other dynasties. You have to hurry. It's best if you can get that Zhao Fu. As the representative of Prince Qin, Zhao Fu has too much power. If we can get him, the benefits will be unimaginable. After hearing about this, the saintess flirtatiously smiled as she said to Mei Xiaoyan. Mei Xiaoyan smiled and nodded as she replied, "Saintess, I understand. I'll do this as soon as possible." Of course, only a small portion of people were happy. Most people's expressions were quite unsightly. It was Qin again, and Qin again. They all hated Qin to the point that they gnashed their teeth. As their enemies, they did not want to see Qin continuously become stronger. Qin was already so powerful, and now that he had obtained the Golden Dragon, how could they live? The various dynasty legatees and factions felt that they could not wait any longer. If they waited like this, who knew what Qin would obtain? When that time came, he would become even more terrifying. As such, they decided to stop defending and continue to attack. They had to wear down Qin. In other words, they wanted the players from the 4 regions around the Forest of Horrors to attack Qin from 4 directions and surround Qin. However, even though that was what they were thinking, they still had some misgivings. The Golden Dragon was simply too powerful, and it was an existence that could obliterate everything. Because of that, they had no choice but to first investigate the cause of this matter. They didn't want to wait for their army to arrive and be instantly killed. Not only would this be a waste of time and energy, but it would also be incredibly embarrassing. Right now, there were around 1 million players in the northern region, which was the regions around the Forest of Horrors. Because they had been greatly affected by Qin, they had not participated in the destruction of Qin Hai, so they had been able to survive. Apart from these regions, most of the regions had less than 500,000 players. The catastrophe that Qin had caused had helped Qin clear out a lot of people, especially those who viewed money as important as their lives and had madly fought against Qin. Qin was currently clearing out the Forest of Horrors and completing the first step of establishing a kingdom. Now it was time to conquer other regions and complete the second step of establishing a kingdom, then the third step, and the fourth step. The other dynasty legatees also secretly investigated, and the other countries' factions felt that they could not just sit on the sidelines and watch the tigers fight. After all, Qin was already a great threat to them, and if they allowed Qin to continue developing, they would not be able to survive. As such, the various countries' factions contacted the Chinese dynasty legatees to discuss how to suppress Qin. Even if they could not destroy him, they had to stall him and not allow him to continue developing. This time, the various countries' factions made up their minds and fully supported Qin Hai in terms of resources and manpower. This made the Chinese dynasty legatees feel quite delighted, and with their full support, they formed a massive obstacle. Even though they were from different countries and races, they had a common enemy. Now, it could be said that the Chinese dynasty legatees had officially started to work together with the other countries to destroy Qin. With the support of the other countries, the Chinese dynasty legatees were incredibly powerful, and it was as if the entire world was going against a single person. Suddenly, someone asked, "Didn't they say that Chinese people don't fight Chinese people? Why do we have to ally with other countries to attack Qin? As Chinese people, can't we be united? Why do we have to ally with other countries to destroy our own country?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.